This is also our first review where we're reviewing a new game.
Yeah, this is a first. This is the first time this has happened. And I mean, we only get a few Final Fantasy games a year, and this one's like, it's the first time that the schedule has lined up with a big release. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, we should get a second one when we do 14 stuff, but
maybe
yeah,
we might things line up.
We might be done with 14's other expansion, Heavensward and stuff, before then. Because we thought 15 was going to take us so much longer. We were going to give ourselves lots of time for 15, and we only really took like a month, a little over a month to beat it, because we got the game like a few weeks in. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's
crazy. I guess we should do some plugs, and then we should get into it. You can go to facebook.com/Ultima Final Fantasy and join the conversation there. You can also go and watch our episodes being recorded live, just like this one right now, at twitch.tv/Ultima Final Fantasy. You can support us on Patreon. $1 a month gives you the episodes as soon as we're done mixing them. And you can tweet me at Joseph Vigolier.
Me at UFF Podcast. And guys, please use the phone line that we've set up. It's great for questions and other listener interactions. That number is 385-204-3921. It's 385-204-3921.
And if you want to send us a question or anything like that, there is a contact page on the website, ultimafinalfantasy.com, or you can go there, ultimafinalfantasy.com, and join the forums.
Yes. Also check out Nude Clan, another video game podcast. We have by the time you're hearing this, you should have access to a Parasite Eve review that we just barely finished up. And that's been one of the games that some of you guys have been getting on us about not being part of our list. And I was like, you know what? Nude Clan's the perfect outlet for that. Stuff that we won't play for Ultima, we can then play there. So check that out. We got a lot of great RPG reviews and a lot of fun banter. So good shit.
All right. I think let's get it started, Twice. Let's first talk about the development of Final Fantasy 15.
I'm going to kick back here.
All right. Okay, so Final Fantasy was released. Final Fantasy 15 was released
1987.
Just a few weeks ago, as we're recording this, worldwide on November 29th, 2016. It originally began not as the 15th of the series, but as a spin-off game in the Fabula Nova Chrysalis series.
FF13.
That was spearheaded by Final Fantasy 13. That had to do with kind of the Fal'Cie god thing, right?
Yeah,
the mythos surrounding that, and like there was a whole bunch of different games that they started Final Fantasy Agito off of that, and of course that became Type 0.
Right.
And all the sequels to 13. And this game started in that series, and I think it went straight out of it in the version that we have right now. But that's how it started. It was supposed to be like a Tetsuya Nomura vehicle. He kind of created the characters and the story as was originally like told in Versus 13. Right. They even talked about at some point during the development making it a trilogy because the story got so huge that they wanted to do that.
Said they made it a movie.
Yeah, and calling it Final Fantasy Versus 13, I just have a note here saying, whatever the hell that means.
It's
at the time it's like, what is it? The game looks awesome because remember the original trailer, and then looking at it and be like, what the fuck does that title even mean?
It's like Dissidia 012. You're like, what are you? What? What the fuck am I looking at here? Like, what the fuck is 358 over 2 days? What does that mean? What the fuck, Square? It's such a weird thing that they do, and I don't get it. It's fucking weird. Like this game, if it was called Versus 13, I'd be like, I don't know why. It just is.
Maybe he versus 13 things in the original story.
Even then, though, it's like such a fucking weird.
Maybe it's versus
title.
Maybe it's the kings of old. It was 13 of them.
It's a weird thing, and I thought it was weird when it first was announced. I was like, that's the name? Like, it looks cool, but.
And do you remember that Final Fantasy 13 was announced as coming to both the PS3 and the Xbox, which is really weird.
Yeah.
Because at the time it was like Final Fantasy was only a PlayStation vehicle, and then it's like, oh, we're putting it on the Xbox as well.
Right, yeah, 360.
But this was going to be on Versus 13. Remember, this was going to be the PS3 exclusive game.
Oh, I see how it is.
And it was like, oh, that's what it's going to be. It was announced in 2006, and they were going to plan on utilizing the game engine made for 13, the Crystal Tools engine, and they started development that way. They just used that engine early on.
And you can tell with some of the earlier stuff, it looks 13-esque.
So over the next couple of years, some trailers were released that hyped the shit out of the fan community, because this looked like the answer to 13. It was like, a lot of people dislike 13, but they were like, oh, this is supposed to be the exact opposite of 13.
So you're saying Final Fantasy...
But within the same universe. It was supposed to be really cool. And that's really what it is. Like, the trailers were just really cool, and it made everybody kind of crazy hyped up about it.
What about Final Fantasy 13 for answer?
Oh, that's not even funny.
It would be the fourth. Oh my god, it would have been the fourth.
Oh, that's terrible.
Versus, because there's Lightning Returns as the third.
But remember, the weird thing about it was like... And the same with Agito at the time. It was like, oh, it doesn't take place in the same world, but it's in the same universe.
Yeah, I'm like, excuse me? What?
Well, then why?
Yeah, what, are you just saying that to like, is it like after years where it's like, yeah, they're connected because we said so?
So from 2006 all the way up to 2012, the years went on and less was heard about the game until it eventually became like vaporware. That's what everybody was saying.
Vaporware? Do you vape, bro?
It was like they were going to make a game, but now the PS3 is starting to age. PS4 is coming in. This game's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? And Square was kind of silent about it. We do know kind of little about what happened to Versus in that time, and the rumors and leaks about what happened behind the scenes. There's like an extensive amount of stuff out there that's just come up in the last couple of months, and we're planning on doing it in its own episode about kind of the transition from Versus into 15, or during kind of the troubled development. We're about to get into there, the troubled development of 15, and how that's translated into the game that we finally got. But we'll do that in another episode because it's important to touch upon the game that we got.
Right. There's so much information on this, and a lot of it's sort of like hearsay sort of a stuff, so we don't want to use that during the review of Final Fantasy 15 because it's not 100% confirmed.
So from 2006 when it started development up till 2012, they had worked upon what they said was about 25% of the game, and to me it's just like, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of money to just be spending on nothing.
Yeah.
But almost everything was scrapped in 2012. And I would assume that's because of the PlayStation switch over to the new console. And Hajime Tabata was brought in as co-director in 2012. Now, this was all without public knowledge, by the way. And they decided to dub the new remnants of the product, like the remnants of what they were going to keep in Versus 13. They were going to dub it Final Fantasy 15.
Right.
Due to the switch, I think, to the new generation of consoles, 15 would now be utilizing a new Square Enix engine that they would produce in-house called the Luminous engine. And this engine, by the way, has the ability to just do, I think, there was like millions of pixels in someone's hair and shit like that. It's like, it's an incredibly powerful engine, but it's also, because it was made in-house and was made for this game, it also proved to be an incredibly difficult engine to work with through its kind of buggy phase. So, although it was originally utilizing the Crystal Tools engine from Final Fantasy 13, which was, the Crystal Tools engine is now like a pretty streamlined, beautiful machine, apparently.
Yeah.
A lot of Final Fantasy 15's development problems in the last few years of its development have been due to that engine. Tons of staff changes were made as well behind the scenes, and eventually Nomura was booted, likely to just work on Kingdom Hearts, and Tabata became the sole director of Final Fantasy 15 from then on. The public weren't notified about these changes until a trailer was released at Tokyo Game Show in 2014.
Yeah!
Just 2 years after they started doing this switch up.
Enter our show.
Yeah, tons of staff restructuring restructures through the years caused many people at Square Enix to drop in and out of development, including the original producer, Yoshinori Kitase.
Oh, man.
So he left when Nomura left, I believe, just to work on other stuff. Some of the original producers survived. They were plagued with problems from the engine. Square Enix's A-Team, of course, which was the one the main, I think they call them Team 1 or whatever they are, the A-Team of Square Enix. They, of course, always work on the big headliner Final Fantasy games, but they had to be supplemented because the project was so huge and so plagued with problems.
Right,
they had to be supplemented by companies XPEC, Umbra, Streamline Studios, and Avalanche Studios to create kind of what Square now promised to be the answer to 13.
Okay.
Where it's now, instead of the hallway that we all complained about, not all of us complained about, but a lot of people complain about with 13, into a more Western style sort of Elder Scrolls inspired Final Fantasy game. Which I think a lot of people were excited for. I mean, to me, though, it's like, did everybody forget about FF12?
Yeah.
It's like FF12 was pretty darn open. I guess it's not Elder Scrolls open, but for a Final Fantasy game, it's pretty like big.
Yeah, it's massive, and I mean, you can go into every area by just walking. Every area is accessible to some extent, except for maybe like the last area. One of the last areas where that one judge dude dies, Redis.
Right.
That's the only one you have to fly to, but everything else you can walk. You can walk the fucking world, and it's huge. So yeah, I don't know what the
I feel like 13 was an answer to 12 almost.
Yeah, well, exactly. 12 was almost too open, and they almost. I feel like Square Enix sort of overcorrects sometimes with these games. They're like, oh wow, we went really far with that. Let's pull it back, but they pull it back excessively almost. Like they don't. There is no. Yeah, there is no moderation at times. Is how I kind of feel about it. Not that it's bad or good. It's just like, geez, guys. You give us 12, and then you're like, all right, now it's hallway for the first 30 hours.
So I recognize a lot of people will probably listen to this episode as is their first episode that they're listening to our podcast on.
Yeah.
But there is a huge history of our podcast having to do with like what's Final Fantasy 15 going to be? Yeah. And one of those things being that we played the Disgaea demo back in 2015.
Yep.
Which is I remember the first time they announced the demo, like Facebook called it Final Fantasy 15's release date as March 2015.
Yeah.
And that turned out not to be true and turned out to be the demo. We even had like a special announcement, which I've since replaced history with on our podcast feed. But yeah, I remember getting really excited around then. And, so we all played the demo. I loved the demo. What did you think of the demo at the time? I think you liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed what I played. I'm glad they made some of the changes that they did, but I was excited. It served a purpose. The Disgaea demo got me more invested in the world for sure, and I am glad we had the chance to play it after spending a bunch of money on Type 0.
Yeah, it did come with Type 0 here in the States. Might have done that in Japan as well. But anyway, the demo, reaction to the demo from the fan community, Square Enix did like this big questionnaire
survey,
thing, and then they obviously made some serious changes based upon what we thought of the demo as it went along. And so I think that was kind of an important step in the development process. If you remember Final Fantasy 13, I've heard a lot of things where they claim that like most of the development for the game was in that 6 months or just a few months between the demo coming out and fan reaction to it to the game. In fact, they didn't know how the battle system in 13 was going to work until they had to put out a demo.
Yeah. No, that's what I've heard as well.
So I assume that there's some similar stuff there with 15. Of course, the world seems to be pretty well developed in comparison to what we saw to the demo and to the game that we see today, especially in that Disgaea area. It's not exactly the same, but it is very similar. If not, there's of course more stuff in the real game in that area. But I kind of see it as like, they
had an idea.
They already had that huge section of the game. That's like 1/4 of the game, right there is that Disgaea area. But anyway, some people were skeptical about the demo, but it was mostly well received. And the game was finally announced, along with a movie that had been secretly in development for 3 years, to come out September 30th, 2016. But as we know, a few months down the road, the game was delayed for a couple more months to some, I would say, serious fan outrage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that were really upset at that.
And Tabata made a video saying, sorry,
we're sorry.
we got to work on things, and we don't want to do a major patch, which I think there must have been bigger problems going on before that. Anyway,
yeah,
they delayed it to November 29th, and so that's when we finally got it.
Yeah.
It's so far been released to generally positive reviews. I don't think the reviews have been as positive as the previous Final Fantasy mainstream games.
Yeah.
Even 13, I don't think. You would have to look up the Metacritic score, but I think it might even be below 13's kind of critical score.
Okay, yeah.
Part of me feels like, I always say that, but I always just base it on the Game Informer score. So Game Informer gave 13 a 9.25, and they gave Final Fantasy 15 an 8.5.
Yeah.
Which to me was super worrisome because a lot of people hated 13. What in God's name is going on?
Sorry. I was looking up the Metacritic and it pumped some Final Fantasy music into my ear hole.
Okay.
Scared me.
And I remember kind of that being a red flag for me. I was like, oh, Game Informer gave it an 8.5? That's really low because Game Informer does... They usually blow the Final Fantasy series, but for 15 they didn't do that.
No. I think it's
still a good score, but they didn't blow it like they normally do, right?
Yeah, 15 has an 82 and it looks like 13 has an 86, 83. 83. So they're right neck and neck.
So they're pretty neck and neck then.
I don't think it's the cool thing to blow Final Fantasy anymore.
No, I think that might be it though.
That's what it is.
I think maybe Final Fantasy used to be critically they would always just kind of like they do with a Metal Gear Solid game. They
or like a
throw out a really good score,
or like a Star Wars movie, like Episode 7, where it's Episode 4 2.0, and they're like, you know what, 97, it's great. They say with a gun to the back of their heads.
Anyway,
I think it's that. I think it's the same mentality.
You think so?
I think so, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, they're great games, but some of those ones that have 92s. There's a huge tie on the Metacritic score for a bunch of Final Fantasies, and some of them I'm like 8 being on the same scale as 6 and 7. No, for me that's what that is. It's there being a lot of love and a lot of hype, and it's a big series, and it's good to be good to that.
What's the difference for me though is that I don't think people hate 15 as much as they hate 13 still. Of course, we're only a couple months down the line and got to wait a year before true fan outrage 15 was the worst game ever. There has been some backlash to 15 after the weeks of 15 coming out, but I don't feel like it was the same opposite direction of 13 getting such critical praise that I read, despite maybe its Metacritic score being about the same.
Yeah.
I read a lot of great reviews for 13, and then fan reaction was the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And of course 13, the last single player Final Fantasy game, so that's kind of where you go back to as far as comparing. How did the critics react?
Yeah, it's hard to compare 15 to 14.
Though had, to me, less of a critical reaction, and then the fan outrage was, I guess, pretty standard.
I don't think it was as heavy as 13's though.
No,
13 had a lot of heavy bleeding when it came to the fans, and I stopped playing it. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of Final Fantasy then. It was one of my favorite series, but it was. It just didn't keep my attention in the beginning. FF13.
And we'll talk about this more when we get to the legacy of the game, I guess. The legacy of a game that came out a couple months ago. If that. And but before we get to that, we got to do our own review, Schweiss. We got to do our own review on this game.
Is that what we're here for?
Yeah. And the first thing that we should probably talk about, it's the thing that we always go to Final Fantasy for, is the story.
Yes, let's do it. What's up, Alistair? Where's that Stolas at? Yeah, we need the Salt Masters. Stolas and Alistair. Salty motherfuckers that they are. They love it. They love tearing into it.
We will spoil.
Yeah, I put spoiler review in the title.
Okay, good.
We're gonna fucking spoil this weak old pork out in the sun.
You know, there was actually like a lot more story than I had remembered. Like as I was going through, I was like, shit.
Yeah.
It's taking longer to outline this thing than I thought.
Yeah, it's taking longer to outline it than it was to fucking play it. Touche.
I have some arguments with that.
Touche.
All right. Real quick, before we go to the story overview, this will be a completely spoiler review.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about the ending for probably a little while. There's some theories and some stuff. You guys, if you haven't beaten this game and you don't want it to be completely ruined, stop listening now.
Yeah, I agree. And then come back later, give us an extra download.
Yeah. And give us a review.
There you go. Okay, so the story starts out parallel or sort of parallel to the events of the terrible movie Kingsglaive Final Fantasy 15. We're thrust right into the middle of things as King Regis sends his son Noctis on a pretty long drive to the city of Altissa to marry his betrothed childhood friend Lunafreya.
Right,
which
yeah.
they haven't seen from each other for years, but apparently they send letters back and forth.
Yeah, they have Umbra, the letter dog. He's like a carrier pigeon, but way fucking cooler. It's like they looked at Game of Thrones where they were like, I want to have some sort of messenger bird, but pigeons are fucking lame. Let's do ravens. And then Final Fantasy 15 is like, no, birds.
Ravens are too dark.
Birds are lame. But wolf dog.
There you go.
Not fucking lame. So that's how they communicate, is through Umbra.
Yeah, and you get a couple opportunities throughout the game to send letters back.
Yes, I was very insensitive the second time through.
So everything seems like it'll turn out fine, but like scene 2, dude, Noctis and his companions that you leave with, Ignis, Prompto, and Gladio, they receive the news that Lucius has fallen.
Yeah.
Noctis' home, what's the city called? Insomnia is just obliterated.
The city that never sleeps.
Yeah.
That was good.
And his father, King Regis, is dead.
Yeah, they find out via newspaper, by the way. So.
Yeah, and then they have to confirm.
Yeah.
And Lucius has been blocked off by the Empire because it's the first thing Noctis does is like, I don't believe it. And then they try to get in. It's covered with Imperial soldiers. They can't get in to the city. This guy named Cor Leonis says, hey, you know what? Your father is actually dead. Like, he's actually gone.
Yeah,
This is not
This is not a drill.
This is real. And he takes Noctis to a tomb, and tomb of one of his ancestors, one of the ancient kings of Lucius.
Yep.
And he Noctis is able to get this weapon from that tomb, and it's basically now he's got to utilize the ancient weapons of his ancestors to get back the crystal for the nation and take the throne.
Right. Right. And the reason why the nation was invaded, as we covered in our Kingsglaive episode, is so that they're basically taking over the crystal. That was the whole point, is to get the crystal, and that's what they wanted. So
randomly, this guy from Kingsglaive, Niflheim's Chancellor Arden, Izunya, who I kind of hated in the movie, but I like in the game a lot.
Yeah.
He comes across the boys just randomly. He knows who they are. It's really freaky. And he sort of guides them along until they find the astral, which is the new word for the summon, or like summon gods.
Right, yeah, the astrals.
Which totally replaced the Fal'Cie, by the way.
Yeah.
The astral Titan. And you got to do the Titan fight. Schweiss, what did you think of the Titan fight when you got to it?
I thought it was pretty awesome. The sound that's going on, the fact that the Empire's there with their little robots trying to pull Titan down, basically trying to conquer him. It's all really cool. I thought it was an epic fight. It was it wasn't hard. It was actually a pretty easy fight, but I had a lot of fun doing it. I thought it was epic in every way, to be completely honest. I thought it was fucking awesome.
I thought it was great. I was just like, I was blown away by the fight. I've seen you play God of War. I've never played it myself, but it seems like it's sort of in that realm, if not a little bit more kind of reactionary button pressing sort of dealios instead of a straight up action game. But there is some fighting in that fight. But just the scale of Titan. It's something that also blew me away when we played the Disque demo when you summon Ramu for the first time.
Oh yeah.
Final Fantasy does something that Final Fantasy 15 does something that the other Final Fantasy games have not done, and that is massive scale.
Yeah.
I think maybe the next biggest thing is Anima from FF10.
Probably. Anime's pretty big, but not nearly as big.
Or the Ultima weapons, but because of maybe FF7's old graphics, like your jaw does not drop to the ground as much as it does with the Astrals in this game.
Yeah, they're huge. They're gods in every sense of the word. Like that's one of the things I was the most excited about getting into Final Fantasy 15 because of the Disque demo was the fucking colossal Astrals. Like the summons just looked epic, and they're every one of them. They're huge. Their moves are awesome,
except for the Carbuncle.
Yeah, I guess Carbuncle. I didn't see Carbuncle, but I saw him in the tutorial, I guess.
There you
go. Because I remember, like, I was trying to think of like, who's James Earl Jones? Like, what? And then I remembered that I named him James Earl Jones in the the Platinum demo, and the name carries over, and I was like, oh, it's Carbuncle. That's right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Named him James Earl Jones.
Yeah. I am your father. No, Noctis.
Squeak, squeak.
Yeah. Squeak.
So what you find out is that apparently Lunafreya is asking these giant gods or the Astrals to assist Noctis on his way to getting back the throne, but they won't help him unless he can show his power, which happens a few times in this game, not just with the Astrals.
Yeah.
So Noctis has to fell them first before they can join him, which is pretty standard Final Fantasy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and it also creates situations for these amazing fights.
Yeah, they're like, well, we need to have something awesome right here.
So after Titan gets on their side, Noctis and the others continue to get the other ancient swords and finally get to Altissa to meet Lunafreya.
Yes.
After some political bullshit with the Chancellor of Germany.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, they know that Leviathan's going to be summoned, and they're going to fight him in the city, because that's, I guess, where Leviathan's home is or something. And so it was like, we want to get as many people out of here as possible, and so you have to like pretend you have to be kingly. Remember?
Yeah.
In the as you talk with the Chancellor of Germany.
This is the only time in the game that the dialogue box, something that we haven't talked about, you get to kind of select what the dialogue is for certain scenarios. This is the only part in the game where it actually matters, I believe.
I think so.
You can choose other things later on, and they have
the letters.
They have minor. Yeah, the letters is the only other one that, like, when you say something, it happens. This one, when you say something, it happens, and you can actually fail the quest, apparently, is what someone said.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
if you're not kingly enough.
Yeah, you could be kind of a dick, though. I tested it, just a teeny.
Yeah, I usually put, when I do those type of things in games, I usually put what I would say, if I were in the situation, so I passed it.
Yeah.
Luckily.
Yeah, the one for Leviathan that you do during the fight, you basically you can demand or ask for her power, and I was like demanding it. It was awesome.
Oh, wow.
Gave her extra strength, which kind of sucked, but
so the next day, Lunafreya does in fact summon Leviathan in the city, which does some serious damage to Altissa.
Oh yeah.
And what did you think? We saw trailers for Final Fantasy 15 that had a Leviathan fight in it.
Very different.
And then we got a different one in the actual game, but I would say that I'm not disappointed with the Leviathan fight. I thought it was epic and incredible imagery and fun gameplay, and just I was awed by the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, even more so than Titan. What did you think of the Leviathan fight? Were you in disappointed mode? Because a lot of people were.
No, and I don't think it's on quite the scale of the Titan fight. And the reason why I say that is it's not really a fight when you're fighting Leviathan. You're super overpowered. You've gone Super Saiyan mode. You're now launching those weapons that you've been acquiring throughout the game, the Armigers, or whatever, the fucking weapons of Lucius. You're launching those at your enemy like missiles. I would almost call the Leviathan section of the game just the Leviathan part. I don't know if it really qualifies as a fight. It's super easy.
No, it's super easy, but I just found like the images of it, and I don't know, I found it fun at the same time. So I was just blown away.
It's a great cinematic fight, I would say. There's barely any fighting though. There's not really any tactics to it. It's just you just hold circle, but it's a fantastic spectacle that's going on. So there's no denying that in my mind, that it's an awesome interaction, but it's, I don't know, to call it a fight is kind of odd.
I wouldn't call the Titan one a fight. I would say that's in the same realm where you do real fighting with him, but it's mostly like reactionary type stuff.
Yeah, but you do have other enemies around as well, people that you actually fight, the robot dudes.
Oh yeah.
This one, I thought it was fucking awesome. Like, there's no denying how awesome it was, and I was like, dude, this is fucking sweet. When I was there, I just was like, this is really easy, but it's sweet. So I was pretty impressed with it. I thought it was a really fun section of the game.
So, also during this section is kind of our midpoint, down point, you would say, in a movie. It's like the midpoint of the movie. Arden, who was kind of leading you along, and we know he's a bad guy because we watched Kingslave. I'm not sure if you would know that if you didn't watch Kingslave.
It's probably the only thing Kingslave would truly teach you.
He then turns on you and mortally wounds Lunafreya.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like a whoa moment for me playing the game, because it's like, it seems as you're playing this thing, you're like, oh, our job is to go get Lunafreya.
Right, yeah.
Marry Lunafreya. And suddenly that comes to a stop as Arden pulls a Sephiroth, of course, through the midpoint of the game, stabs and eventually kills Lunafreya.
Yeah, Square Enix only kills their female characters in the presence of water. Also, keep that in mind.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's a good point. There you go.
Yeah, someone on the stream said that the other day. It was Stolas.
So, wake up later. You had like this weird dream where Lunafreya gives you the ring.
Yeah.
Lunafreya is now dead. Leviathan, however, was defeated, and he joins your team. And the Ring of Lucii is now in Noctis's hand. The ring, of course, being like the ring that the kings had.
Right. It's their ultimate weapon. They basically get to call on the kings of yore to fight alongside them.
Which he decides not to use, but...
He's seen Lord of the Rings. He knows what happens when you put the ring on. Everyone knows where you're at, so he doesn't want to touch it yet.
So, the next place you find yourself, you're on a train to the next area, which is Grillia. And kind of your guys are all pissed off at each other. Ignis, of course, lost his sight during
we don't know
the fight.
We don't know exactly what happened, but Ignis is just blind. Like, he doesn't have vision. His eyes are all fucked up.
So it was probably during the destruction with Leviathan. But
yeah, something hit him.
Gladiolus, he sees Noctis as kind of this stubborn, spoiled brat.
Yeah.
Despite all these people dying around him and crap like that, Gladiolus is still a dick. Which I know you talked about before, where you just said Gladiolus is ridiculous with his kind of dickery.
Yeah, you know what? And I fucking punished him for it in the end. I did. It seemed out of place. Not as out of place as the scene that you get right around the Titan fight, where Noctis is kind of like complaining a little bit, and then Gladiolus like shoves him, and he's like, "Stop bitching!" And he like goes off on him, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'd be pissed if one of my friends did that. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? I was just like mildly complaining, and now you're gonna call me like a bitch and just like call me out. It seemed really out of place. This part though, you do get the several weeks later screen or whatever it is, and it's some time has passed, and he's still kind of moping, but there is a job to do. So yeah, he was being kind of a dick, but I sort of get it. So it's not as bad as it was.
I get it too.
The first scene.
Obviously, it has to do with Ignis's eyesight being gone. Less about this girl that obviously Noctis had a deep friendship with as a child that he keeps up with.
Yeah.
She did die.
It's like a pen pal, but yeah.
And so it's somewhat important to Noctis. I don't know.
Right. And I mean, the first time I played the game, you and I both talked about how we thought it was kind of weird that he had such an emotional reaction to Luna Freya dying. And it wasn't until I talked to my roommate Dwayne about it, and he brought up the point. He's like, well, I don't think it's so much the romantic relationship that Luna Freya and Noctis had at this moment. I think it's more along the lines of the childhood friend. That they have known each other for so very long, that they've known this is something we're going to do. Because Luna Freya being the oracle, you see shit. That's what the oracle is. They like prophesize via visions and etc. and whatnot. And
she's almost like a Jesus character, but that aspect is not really that explored in the game.
Not really, but she's kind of, yeah. She knows what is going to happen. She's known the whole time. Which is fucking crazy for a kid to have to deal with, right? But and it's I feel like when you look at it that way, it works a lot better. If you take that scene as okay, you lost someone that you've known for years and years and years, one of the only things left from your childhood, because this is like pre Gladiolus and them, maybe even. No, he probably knew Gladiolus because of his dad and his relationship with that family, but you didn't have Prompto, you didn't have a lot of these people during this age, and it's just one of his oldest contacts and someone who he's had feelings for a long time.
Sure.
I feel like that gives it a much stronger pull.
I don't think they set it up well, to be honest. That's one of the issues I have with the game is the Luna Freya Noctis relationship.
Yeah.
It is there, the setup, but it's not there
it's not strong
enough that when she dies, it'll like cause you tears or anything like that.
Yeah,
You'll be shocked.
Yeah, I was
and I was like, that, especially like the dream sequence that you get for a second there, I'm like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
But
I was like, oh, hey, the Omen trailer.
It's still kind of like it's still I don't know. I still thought the relationship build up was a little thin there.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it makes sense, but I didn't feel the emotional tug at the heartstrings like I did in FF9, the most emotional scene in the series to me, when Vivi sees his little buddies like falling down, dying.
Yeah, and that's done in one scene.
That's one scene, and they're they're dolls. And there was more strength in that than there was in Luna Freya dying in this game. Because it's like, I don't know, everything just plays out so perfectly. You're like, oh, well, we're going to go to Luna Freya. You go there. Oh, look, there she is. We get to see the dress, which is an awkward part. And, there she is. And you're like, okay, cool. We're going to get married. And then it's shocking. But it wasn't, like you said, the build-up was kind of, it almost felt like there was something else they wanted to do with it, like maybe a little bit more. And they just kind of put it in. I don't know how to explain it. It just seems like it's just off a little bit.
So one of the coolest things is when you guys stop by to get another one of the weapons, and they go out, and Ignis is blind now, of course.
Yeah.
And you can decide whether or not to keep Ignis in the party, which I did keep him in the party.
He joins anyway.
Yeah,
okay. That's why the whole Mass Effect, like, choose your own adventure thing is bullshit in this game.
All right.
The game's like, oh, yeah, you don't want to bring him, huh? Well, fuck you. I mean, we know you're king, but we're
anyway, I thought that was a cool sequence where you have to go through this dungeon area, sort of like a little canyon.
Yeah.
And you have to, like, they get really pissed at you if you run away.
Yeah, they
from the group if you don't help with Ignis, and of course that adds to kind of Gladiolus's resentment of you, where it's like, what the fuck are you doing? You got to deal with this other guy. You're gonna just leave your friend behind here while we're trying to help you? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I thought that was a really interesting part. But then you're back on the train going to Grillia, and suddenly all these MT soldiers and demons begin to attack the train on your way there. And Noctis and the boys, they fend them off, but unfortunately Prompto is pushed from the train, and we're not sure if he's alive or dead.
Right, and prior to that, though, I will add, the whole section where you meet up with the guys after that first part, Prompto is Arden. Like, I thought that was kind of a weird thing. Apparently he just, like, manipulated things and took on the image of Prompto, and Prompto gets pushed off the train at the end by you. So Arden, like, just kind of swaps. He switches places with Prompto, and the second time through I noticed it a lot better than the first time. But when you're chasing Arden through the train, during that when he's like talking to you, that's totally Prompto, like the whole time, because he's like, Noct, what are you doing? It's like, you can't be serious, dude. It's bizarre. And then you get up to the top and you're like, you slash Arden, but it ends up being Prompto, and he falls off the train, and it's like, wow, that was kind of cool. It's like a weird switch thing that he did for whatever reason.
It's a very cool sequence. I love the entire train trip, which is, of course, the part of the game where you're not allowed to go back and do side quests.
Yeah, it's the Final Fantasy 13 part of the game.
Get bugged about, but you've had so many hours that you can do side quests by this point. It's like, let's do this section of the game. The train sequence all the way up to Shiva, my favorite sequence in the entire game, honestly. And I say one sequence, but it's like 3 chapters. But yeah, the fight with the MTs as they're attacking. The MTs, what are they actually called? They're like Magitech soldiers or something like that. I assume MT stands for Magitech.
Yeah, I think so. Huh?
Just because it's Final Fantasy. They probably said it, and I just didn't catch it. But that section, when you come out of the corner, you're fighting the demons, and you see Leviathan up there on your side, that's like, oh my god, that is fucking awesome. Just the imagery of that section is so well done. I just love it. I love it. This whole time, by the way, there's been this sort of guide, like a spiritual woman who shows up when she wants to, and kind of guides you sometimes, or like answers questions or whatever. Her name is Gentiana, and anyway, you find out that she's Shiva in the snow area,
right?
And she kind of gives you her blessing and joins you, and you also find out during that section that Arden is immortal, and he's kind of he's like this crazy, dark, almost clownish sort of character. Sometimes he goes in and out of sort of the dark, scourgy Arden, and then himself. So he obviously has something out for Noctis, but you don't know what it is yet. Anyway, so the next kind of thing that they're trying to do is that they decide to go get Prompto, who is being held by Arden in a fortress. And this fortress is like an MT factory fortress, and you do find out that the MTs, I guess, they're actually biological people. They're clones or something.
Right, yeah. The MTs are... the MTs are robots. But the demons were people.
Is it the demons were people? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The MTs, I don't know. There's that one plot twist with the MT thing and Prompto, and I don't really get that necessarily. So I don't know. Maybe they are people. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's supposed to be a robot army for the MTs, but they are manufacturing. They're like creating demons, which come out at night in the game in the lore. And when it's super dark, demons come out to play, and they're manufacturing demons in this facility, and that's where they're holding Prompto.
It's also around this time that the characters do realize that like the days are growing shorter.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh, that's a really weird part of the game, but I understand it a little later on.
Yeah.
And so the demons get worse and worse. It comes to mind sort of a Final Fantasy 1 parallel where it's like, oh, suddenly the monsters are getting really bad right now.
Yeah.
Because the orbs aren't in their proper place or whatever it is. And so 15 does take upon sort of that mantle in its own way, where the demons come out at night, and the heavier hitting monsters do come out at night.
Oh yeah,
which is kind of a cool aspect.
Certainly, yeah.
And even then, it's like, well, there's still hunts during the nighttime, and it's still normal, and all that other shit.
Yeah.
So you go through a pretty long sequence where you're like following Arden's voice as he's like bringing you to Prompto and to the crystal.
Yeah, this is the infamous chapter 13, and there's a lot of mixed feelings on the whole feel and the whole stylistic change to this chapter of the game. It essentially turns into I want to say almost like a survival horror kind of a feel. You're walking around and there's areas where you can hide your character and enemies walk by. It's got a really creepy vibe. It almost feels like Dead Space to me. There's enemies that jump up at you from the ground and they're like pulling on you and they look all fucking weird and like undead and they're malfunctioning and shit. And it's a very strange section and it's really slow. Is one of the other things. This is the section of the game where it's probably just going to take you an hour, and that's just how it is. Your character doesn't run. He's like kind of uneasy about the whole situation. And the first time playing through, I did not like Chapter 13. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I thought it was like, it was stupid that they were doing this survival horror kind of a feel. I was like, it's not creepy. There's just shit jumping out all over the place. It's not ever startling me. I'm not caught off guard because I've played games that do this, and they do it much better. Second time through, though, running through the game again for the podcast, I actually didn't mind it that much. It is definitely a change of pace.
I am surprised to hear you say that. You were railing on that shit, and I was defending it this whole time.
It was a little bit of a change of pace, and I still prefer the other chapters.
I think it might be a little too long compared to the other chapters, especially because you get in the hallway mode, and just as a person who's playing to the end of the game, basically, even though you can go back in that chapter, you can finally go back in Chapter 13.
Yeah.
You can go back to the past, I guess, using Umbra, which sort of a made-a-game concept. It's not actually real, but it's something you can do to play more of the extra stuff in the game.
Right, yeah.
But I dug it, man. And I've never played survival horror, okay? Maybe, I don't know if Parasite Eve counts, but...
Not really.
I've never played a survival horror game, so I wasn't really comparing it to anything. Like, I wasn't comparing it to the better mechanics in a different survival horror game. I just thought it was a really cool sequence where you went through this very large dungeon with this very creepy bad guy telling you to, you know, come here, come thither. Your Prompto is just, oh, where is he? And he's like fucking with you, right?
Right, yeah.
I thought it was excellent. I thought it built up Arden extremely well. I did jump a couple times getting grabbed by the dead soldiers. That legitimately did happen.
Okay.
And I thought it was effective. And when you find Prompto, I don't think the next plot twist is that effective, but when you find Prompto, it's like, yeah, this is a cool part. And, you know, all your buddies get back together.
Yeah.
One of the weirdest plot points, of course, being that Prompto then tells you that he has the codes for the building.
Yeah, because he's
programmed in him because he turns out to be one of these creatures.
He's an MT.
MTs.
And that's when I'm like, well, maybe it's beyond me. Maybe they are people and not just robots, but I thought they were all robots because they've really talked about how it's a robot army this whole time. But Prompto's one of them.
But are they biological robot armies?
Dude, maybe that must be something. But they end up turning them into demons, though. Like, which is it? Do you want robots or demons? Robots or demons? Come on. Robots are clearly more, except for in this area, more controllable. But I don't know. That plot point doesn't really serve a purpose.
It doesn't.
To me.
It just is there.
It's like it's a Deus Ex Machina sort of a situation, but they created it.
It's not a Deus Ex
I would
Machina.
say it is. It's their stuff is locked away, and this is the saving point. But it comes out of nowhere.
You're right, yeah. It does come out of nowhere, and they don't really set up MTs as like this freaky thing that people don't like. It's just sort of like what the Imperials are after you with.
Yeah, the robots. Like they're
just robots that you fight.
Yeah,
it wasn't set up.
It's almost reminiscent of the Mako kind of situation in Final Fantasy VII, where they're creating these monsters. But that's more along the lines of the demons anyway.
It's with that. It's also with Vivi and his past being one of those.
Yeah. But like he was a kid though. Like when did they
with Zidane as well?
When did they capture? When did they capture Prompto and make him an MT? You remember Plumpto to Prompto?
Yeah, I remember Plumpto to Prompto.
He was a fat little kid. Like was he an MT then? Was he what exactly?
Or the MTs are biological and they're not robots.
So they're just cyborgs then.
Trained as robots, or maybe cyborgs that were human. I don't know.
But if he's a cyborg, why is he the worst character in my party?
Dude, I bet someone out there has an explanation.
The game didn't. Because I played it twice.
I don't remember anything either, and I thought it was just like random as shit.
I know. I thought it was silly. It was like, especially because they created a situation that needed the Deus Ex Machina.
My words were okay.
Yeah, it was like my reaction was similar to the party's reaction. They're like, yeah, whatever, like whatever you say, dude. It's like you're hearing one of your buddies talk about like a conspiracy theory. You're like, sure, yeah. right, let's move on. This is
Anyway.
dumb.
Yeah, so the friends go, yeah, it doesn't matter that you're an MT at all.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be kind of a touching moment, but since it
Yeah.
was a stupid reveal, it doesn't matter.
Well, it's revealed with no setup whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like they created a Deus Ex Machina for a situation that they created. You could have just had this stuff. Like, Arden doesn't give a flying fuck. He wants you to get all your stuff back. He wants all of this to take place. He's the catalyst for this entire game.
Yeah.
Why lock it up and then have the weird, oh yeah, I got a barcode on my arm, scan this code for 10% off, access to your weapons again. Like, odd.
Well, they could have been like in the middle of turning Prompto into an MT. Like they could have done something with that as the plot, and now he has the brand on him. Like that could have been something that happens.
Yeah.
If
Oh, you know what?
if it
Maybe
were
that's
a little different in that section, but that's not the case.
Oh, Jesus. You know what? Maybe they
like-
turned him into one while he was there.
No, that's what I'm saying. They could have done with the plot, but they didn't.
Well, they should have explained
He
it.
just
yeah.
said he was one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe they did turn him there. But they never said that. Like, because the way he was like, oh, I'm an MT, guys. Like, it seemed like it was that way for a long time. The way he...
Believe me, that's the least worst thing about you, Prompto.
Yeah, it's like...
I have to listen to you fucking talk about Cindy all day.
Yeah, and I mean, we all have blue balls for Cindy. Let's not beat around the bush here, but you don't need to talk about it all the time. That just makes it worse.
I would say that's probably the place you want to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably around the
Around.
bush. Yeah, you don't want him in the tent beating,
No, that's
Around.
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
right?
Preferably,
Okay.
yeah. He's too busy being dead all the time, though, to do any of that.
So at a certain point, I think Noctis gets back his weapon or something, and all these demons start sprouting when they get near the crystal. And the other guys say they're gonna hold them off, and then Noctis is gonna go fight Arden.
Right. Well, I mean, the way he gets a weapon back initially is coming across Ravis's body.
That's right. Okay, that's when that happens. All right. So Ravis, which I had a note for after I did the outline to talk about Ravis and talk
Yeah.
about
Ravis is the
RA now.
older brother, I believe, of Luna Freya.
Yeah, and he totally is a douche to Noctis.
In Kingslave, in the game.
Yeah, in the early part of the game,
Yeah.
he does not think that Noctis is worthy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But he decides to give you the benefit of the doubt in one of the weirdest turnarounds in the game, which a lot of people had a problem with. I did not have a problem with it because there's almost an ellipses there of like the scene in between in which he decides that Noctis might be okay, but he decides to challenge you to like you prove your worth, that you can like be the king. I thought it was I don't know. Some people didn't like it. I remember someone on Twitter like talking about that scene. They didn't like it.
Decides to
like,
challenge you. What?
cool.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, so he turned sides to Noctis, even though he was against him before.
Yeah, but you don't ever see that.
And yeah, you never see it. It's a missing scene.
You come across his dead body, and then you
Right.
fight his demon form.
Right, but it was because he was defending you,
Yeah.
which is it was hardly touched upon in the game, but that's what happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, the weird thing about it is they explain this through like a diary that you find. Like this guy carries his fucking journal around with him, is what it is. Ravis just there's like papers strewn about near his dead body.
His flower pen.
Yeah, and that's where you find out about his kind of change of heart. Like, oh, okay, well, I mean, Luna Freya died for this fucking guy.
No,
maybe.
I think it was in the cutscene. It was like suggested but not told in the cutscenes. I
Yeah.
swear to God it was.
I don't know.
And because I understood it, I never touched his diary.
Well, you find the papers on the ground, is what I'm saying. You read them. They're just notes.
Where do you find those?
Right next to his body. There's like a bunch of notes laying around.
I don't think I touched him.
I bet you probably did.
I don't think I did. Because there is a cutscene with like a flashback with Ravis and his sister.
Yeah, I know. There's the flashback, but
Yeah.
that happens after this part of the game, I think.
Anyway.
I don't know. Maybe not.
All right, that's what happens with Ravis anyway. And
Yeah, he switches
It's
sides.
very vague and it doesn't really explain it, but I kind of understood it as, he
Yeah.
actually fought for you. He didn't.
Yeah, in the end, he defended you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the parts that they are actually going to
They're
patch
gonna
more
expand.
story in. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people
I mean, it was
complain.
there. It just wasn't like explicit.
It wasn't explained necessarily. Yeah, it was. I don't know.
Like, what was the situation? Or
Not that I
anything
think
like that.
everything needs to be. I kind of like the ambiguity at
and
times.
honestly, I liked the ambiguity of that section.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after that, the demons start coming up. Noctis decides that he's got to go get the crystal on his own. And of course, he finds Arden there.
Right, and the whole time during this chapter 13, this horror sort of style of the game, you have this giant monster that's chasing you around that you can't actually beat in the beginning. He just thrashes you. He's a giant pain in the ass, and you can't really do anything to him. And you end up finding out that he is the Emperor. So the Emperor, the guy that we saw a bunch of in Kingsglaive that looked like a very interesting character, is suddenly a demon out of nowhere as far as we're concerned. He's just a demon, and that's just what's happening there. Everyone's getting turned into a demon, and you start to realize, wow, Arden's the only one that's not a demon. He's is he Chancellor or Overlord here? Like, he's calling the shots, and
it's a Kefka situation.
Oh yeah.
So Kefka makes his way into the Empire, right? And he gains power, and eventually he overthrows the Empire that he's been, gaining power through by becoming what he's become. Or in this case, Arden is already something,
but no one knows that.
No one knows that, and he's out to get revenge. Which, of course, you find out after you're absorbed into the crystal, right? And it's a really freaky, awesome scene when you're absorbed into the crystal. You find yourself in the spirit realm, and the god Bahamut talks to you and tells you about your basically your fate.
Yeah,
and that Arden is apparently this guy absorbed the demons from the world like 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's out to get revenge on your family line. And there's a lot more complex stuff than that. But how much of that did you understand on your first playthrough of like what the fuck Arden was doing? I just knew that Noctis was... Bahamut says, you're going to have to die in order to get rid of this guy, basically. Yeah. That's all pretty much I understood. And honestly, I had to look at a YouTube video and then look at the Wikipedia and shit like that afterwards to be like, oh, this is all this shit. Because all the lore stuff having to do with why Arden is the way he is, which is barely touched upon even by Bahamut, all that stuff is like in books and shit.
There's a little bit in the cutscene too.
There is a little bit in the cutscene. You're right.
The cutscene
it just wasn't enough for me to get my head around it.
I think it is if you go back and play it again.
Maybe. You're right.
I was like, oh, I can't believe I missed that.
But I can't. I wasn't the only one who missed it, because otherwise you wouldn't have to look up Final Fantasy 15 ending explained.
I got the gist of it. Arden essentially was the Luna Freya of his time. We have what's called...
I understood that part.
We have what's called the Star Scourge, which is like almost a... I would say it's just like the thing in 7, what the fuck is that? Geostigma. Almost, it's very similar to Geostigma.
So the Star Scourge is more than just that. It's also darkness, and it's also the demons, and it's like everything.
Right.
Having to do with... Which the part that I didn't understand was that one of the astrals was against the other astrals.
Yeah.
His name was Ifrit, and he didn't like humans or whatever, and he wanted to get rid of them, and that's the way he did it, by creating the Star Scourge.
Yeah.
And of course the answer to that was this guy who absorbed the Star Scourge, but then he wasn't let into heaven, I guess, and made it cursed immortal because of it.
What happened is with Arden, So he was Luna Freya, the Oracle, which has they have healing powers, and
but he was also the king. Which is the difference.
He was the king. He was able to pull the Star Scourge out of individuals that were infected by it. But by doing that, it's almost like a Green Mile sort of a thing, where you suck the disease from them, but you don't spit it out in moth form.
Yeah.
He kept it. He absorbed it, and his peers, they deemed him unworthy of ruling, and they basically usurped him. We don't know who exactly. It's kind of
a lot of theories.
There's a ton of theories. There's theories that maybe Noctis's line is not his line, and they usurped him. I think it's more along the lines of someone else in his family, because that would have made it sting even more. Just like his brother or his cousin or something said, "You're not fit," and they kicked him out. They cast him out, and by that point, he had so much of the Star Scourge in him that he's immortal, and he just spends the next God knows how many years getting super malicious and like being upset, and he's like, I've been cast down, I've been ripped off, these people took what was mine after me saving them, like, so he's getting pretty vindictive, understandably so. I mean, the guy was the hero of his day. He was everything. He was the alpha and the omega. He's the king. He's the fucking the oracle. He's curing all these people. He's putting himself out there in extremely selfless nature just to be cast down.
Yeah.
And he can't die either. So he's like, I can't even kill myself.
So
like, at this point,
he has no
nothing.
purpose, right?
Yeah, he has nothing to go on.
He's waited around for the chosen king that can utilize all the powers of the summons and the weapons and all that other shit.
Right. And he's
waiting for someone who can, in fact, kill him.
Sort of. They're also trying to, the whole game, he's also seeking revenge on the gods who also cast him down, except for Ifrit. And that's why they're attacking Titan, and that's why they attack and kill Shiva. Which is an odd thing, because you find the corpse of Shiva. You remember that in the game, where you, like, drive by and her face is out there, she's, like, dead? But then she's like not. She's Gentiana, and that part was weird.
Sort of a statue-y sort of thing.
I think. I don't know. I don't really
Titan
understand
is
it.
like holding up the other thing, like he's just there until he's called upon or whatever.
Yeah, and he's holding the comet. That's what he's holding.
Yeah.
Like, so it's a weird thing where like they killed her, because they talk about killing her, but she's not dead necessarily. I don't know. It's weird. They don't flesh that part out. Like it's almost like it's not there. Like they just didn't put it in the game, and we're gonna put it in a DLC later or something along those lines.
The part for me, and I just went along with it, like I didn't understand like the ins and outs of all this other stuff, and I still am kind of fuzzy on some things, but my whole thing was I knew that in order to kill Arden, Noctis would have to die.
Yeah.
In order to like save the world or whatever.
It was implicit. Yeah, Bahamut.
And Bahamut said, "Okay, you want to go back?" And you go, "Yeah, it's time to go back."
Yeah.
And Bahamut puts you out. And it's as if you've been asleep for 10 years.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, can we just say like
And you go to the world of darkness.
Yeah, World of Ruin is what it's called.
Ruin, yeah.
Good callback to Final Fantasy VI. Feels similar to it in that way. That's about the only way, though.
The world is shrouded in darkness.
Yeah, Noctis has become Keanu Reeves, and
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
yeah, I was like Keanu Reeves
It has like a crappy beard. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, 10
Half
years,
Asian crappy beard.
10 years, and that's what he has.
And he kind of talks like this.
Yeah, dude, 10 years, and that's what he has. Is that facial hair? Mine sucks, right? And I could do that in like 2 weeks.
Okay, so my question is,
That motherfucker should be Tom Hanks from Castaway right
friends like find him passed out next to the crystal, take him out? I don't know, like the physical, because this is one of the parts of the games that bugs me. Did they find his body there kind of limp, but he's like, oh, he's breathing and he has a heartbeat, he's just in a coma. And he was in a coma for like 10 years and they shaved him every once in a while? I mean, that's what I assume happened.
Maybe, and they gave him sponge baths too.
Yeah, maybe not them, but someone did in that hut.
It's like
I think it might be one of those situations, but much like Final Fantasy VI, you also wake up in this like random place.
Yeah, yeah.
But luckily you come across one of the...
You don't try to commit suicide, though.
No, you don't.
Unfortunately, that would have been an
You will, though.
Sort of, yes.
Sort of. Like, you know you're going to die, right?
Yeah. It's more like manslaughter.
Sure, yeah. Anyway, one of the little boys from the past, I can't remember his name right now.
Oh my god.
He's now like a teenager.
Talcott. That's what his name is.
Talcott, that's
this
right.
Fucking kid that you meet in the game.
He finds you and he takes you to the guys.
Yeah.
You meet up after 10 years.
And it's about as fulfilling as...
No one asks anything about what the fuck happened in the last 10 years.
Yeah, and you know what? All of the character development for the party that we've come to know over the last 60 plus hours of gameplay, it's all summarized in a car ride with Talcott. Talcott. Someone whose name you didn't even fucking recall until I said it. A character who is so stupid that he got his fucking grandpa killed by letting someone called the phone or something, and he answered, and he like accidentally gave away that they knew something about the king, and they came and killed his grandpa. That guy, everyone's favorite Talcott, is the one who catches you up on the last 10 years. And when you meet your friends, apparently they were in on it. They knew Talcott. They're like, hey, when you find Noct, tell him to just tell him everything that's happened. They summarize it in a car ride, and you meet up with your buddies. It's completely anticlimactic. This is a decade, and these guys were close, right? They went through hell together. Like, Ignis went blind, for Christ's sake. Gladiolus doubled or tripled his scars during this time. And
they've just been fighting. They've been demon fighting.
Yeah, they've been demon hunting. And like that's what they've been doing. They summarize the story in this car ride where, yeah, you know, they used to do a lot of demon hunting together, and now it's kind of like they're almost rogues. Gladiolus' sister Iris is also a badass. She does a bunch of demon hunter. You know, she's demon hunter Iris. I'm like, oh, cool, that'd be fun. I'm like, can't wait to see that. Yeah, Cindy's been running the show, and I'm like, oh, cool. I wonder what she's looking like. She's probably hot as hell now, like probably doubly hot. Don't get to see her.
No, I gotta say, I think I shouted at the TV. I'm like, you're not gonna fucking say anything. You're just gonna be like,
been a long time, huh? Yeah, no shit. 10 years.
Like, how do they know like Noctis's fate? Did they like open the cosmology books and were like, oh shit, he's gonna die when he gets back here? Like,
yeah.
What? Anyway, that was probably the second biggest low point in the game for me, because Prompto's twist is so stupid. But on top of that, like, this part is so emotionally unsatisfying.
I know, and it's not that we don't get to see anything in the 10-year period, but for those guys, they don't know what's happened to him. As far as I can tell, they shouldn't know that Noctis has been asleep for 10 years. They just know he hasn't been around. They've continued life as it was normal and like slowly getting shittier and shittier as the days go on.
Well, Noctis, obviously, he's dead, so the world's just going to be this way.
Yeah, and then he's alive.
And you're like, well, how come Gladiolus, the sometimes douche, isn't like, where the fuck have you been?
Yeah. And it's so bizarre, and I feel like the World of Ruin, they could have done so much with that. You don't even really get to
talk about that in the
gameplay,
in the future episode.
Oh, you don't even get to experience this new world. You don't get to see those characters that you once saw. You do get to see some of them, but there's no.
I think perhaps just because it's. I don't know.
It feels like
it's just time to end it.
It feels like they've rushed it, is what it feels like, and that's without looking at any of the extra, what could have been, what should have been, Final Fantasy 15 stuff. It feels very poorly executed. Final Fantasy 6, World of Ruin. You went back, you went to those characters, you found out what they've been up to. That's like half of the storyline.
Yep, it is.
Is seeing them rebuild the nation, seeing them become leaders in themselves.
Yep.
It builds them as characters a million times more.
I'm not so much asking for that, but I would like to see the old characters again.
I would
like a scene where they're like, "Ooh, what's gone on for 10 years?"
Yeah,
even if it's like an optional scene, like.
And I hope some of the DLC stuff is the World of Ruin.
Can we say that caveat here? And I know we said it on other episodes for those who are just listening to this, or let's say you're listening to this in the future. We don't know what they're going to add DLC-wise.
Right.
I know they're doing active story patches to this game, which I think is a ridiculous concept, but maybe it does need it in this part. So we don't know what things are going to be like in the future as far as this game is concerned.
Right.
This is reviewing it as we got it.
Yeah, this is being recorded on January 21st, 2017.
There you go.
This is the game. I just beat it, so keep that in mind.
So they do this. Oh, shit. Where the fuck? Oh, yeah. So they eventually, when you're ready, you decide that it's time to go to Insomnia,
right?
Which, of course, you never saw during the game except at the very beginning, which is now in darkness and ruins, and there's demons crawling over the place. Your guys are like, okay, let's go. It's time to fulfill the destiny of Noctis, take back the throne.
Right. Let's end this long night.
Noctis dying, and you don't say much, and you just decide to go in, and you follow all the way up till you see Arden on the throne, who who decides, now it's time to fight Noctis.
Yeah,
and Noctis with all the power of the kings.
Right. I mean, before we run into that fight, though,
there's the Ifrit fight.
Yeah, we get a very important scene with Ifrit. But even prior to that, the part where you run up to that was chapter 13 with the car, the Regalia car that you've had this whole game, like your last possession, the last thing tying you to your father.
Oh yeah, fuck.
Gets destroyed, and that's leading into chapter 13. I thought that was kind of a high point too. It was like that was the last thing that he knew at that time that he was going to have for his father, who he now knows is dead, and we know from watching Kingsglaive is dead. Until, of course, he gets his sword later, which is also another thing we didn't touch on. That, it was kind of a big thing. Ravis took his dad's sword, and he got it back.
Yeah, we talked about him getting his weapons back.
Yeah, that was the first weapon.
Sword,
yeah,
that's right.
And that was a big point. But the fight with Ifrit, I thought was awesome.
That was a great fight. So Ifrit is not the same massive astral that the other ones are, but that fight, it utilizing kind of the jumping around aspect of the game,
Yeah.
With that kind of what you're doing there, it utilizes it so well. It's just great gameplay mechanics in that part.
Yeah.
And also the fight is sweet.
Yeah, it's very good. And it's crazy because the very beginning of the game, before you're pushing the car, before you're doing any of that bullshit, you're fighting Ifrit. So it shows you the end of the game sort of at the beginning.
Yeah.
But it does it in like a casino kind of way where it's like the proposed ending.
Yeah.
But really there's more.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of a cool callback. And there were flames. There's flames in the casino scene too, where the car blows up and then he ends up like, spoilers, he's not dead.
Spoilers for Casino from 1995.
Yeah, Casino. Spoilers. It's a great movie.
It is.
That part where the car blows up in the beginning, and then it just like shows the lead up to that, and then it, he's fine. He gets out, and then it's the end. I thought that was kind of a cool way of doing it, and it's not something we really see in Final Fantasy that often. I mean, the closest thing I could really imagine that's super close is like how Bartandalus at every turn in 13 is like, yeah, you're going to destroy that place. You know that, right? Like, that's really what you're going to do. You're going to do you're going to fulfill your thing. You're going to destroy it. That's going to happen.
But it still fights you a lot. That's stupid.
Yeah, and then you destroy it. And, like, no one acknowledges, like, wow, that guy's a badass. No one in the party. They're all just like, yeah, fuck that party. That crazy body. So it kind of felt like that in a way. And I think the Ifrit fight was great. And at the end, the fucking Bahamut comes down and just like
shit! Face. Yeah, I forgot about the Bahamut summon part.
Yeah, he comes down and Ifrit like goes super parkour mode. He's like jumping off of his swords.
Like all of it. It's crazy.
What's with Bahamut being kind of like a loser in Final Fantasy? Like a lot of times when he goes up against other summons, he kind of gets his ass kicked. Alexander in 9. He's the god of the dragons, but like the dragons must be like a super low tier when it comes to like
castles.
Yeah, castles and like other stuff. And like it's weird to me. And someone pointed that out on the stream. Like Bahamut's always getting beaten down, and it's kind of true. Like if we're just like, yeah, no problem. Until of course Shiva comes in and like freezes him, and then he just shatters. So you end up whooping his ass with Shiva's help. Wow. Great scene. I think. I kind of like what they did with Bahamut in this game. I thought it was a little weird at first that he was a dude instead of a dragon, but he's basically a dragon anyway, even though he's shaped like a man. And that was a great cutscene where he comes down and he tries to lay waste to Ifrit, the traitor amidst the astrals, and then we move to the throne room.
Yeah, it moved to the throne room, and Arden's like, "This is between you and me, Noctis," and because of the way things are edited around, I was not sure what the fuck happened in this game. So
yeah,
he like makes your friends pass out. It turns out,
but it looks like death.
It looks like he fucking took their souls out of them. And it looks like they're dead.
Yeah, it's all purpley, like the death spell.
So when I played this game the first time and didn't rewatch the ending, I was like, are they dead or not? Even though there's totally a scene afterwards that's kind of like out of place, and I wasn't sure if it was flashback or not, or what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre otherwise, so I guess that doesn't make any sense. But either way, like, in my mind, I was like, are they dead? Anyway, so he makes him pass out, and then you, with all the power of the kings, and then him with all his power, you go at it. I would say another very cool battle, which kind of utilizes all the sort of high flying sort of game modes that this game has, with all the warping and everything.
Yeah, it becomes full on Dragon Ball Z during this fucking fight.
And so, because you have all the powers of the kings, I guess with you are able to kill Arden physically,
right?
If at least temporarily.
Yeah. With Arden, what happens is when he dies, he enters the spirit realm, and then he just comes back. So immortal means you just are able to resurrect. He's
not able to die permanently.
Yeah, it's like a temp kill.
Anyway, so you do kill him, and then there's a scene where, I guess everybody knows what's going to happen. I'm like kind of like unsure what's going to happen. Noctis and his friends are out in the like in front of the palace, and all these monsters are coming up, and the other guys are obviously going to stay there to fight, just like they did in Chapter 13.
Right.
And Noctis then goes to ascend to the throne.
Mm-hmm.
I actually want to go back for a second. The people hanging, when you see Arden, he's on the throne seat before Noctis comes up and fights him. The throne seat. The throne. And I guess there's people hanging, and I can't remember who. Like, a lot of people said that those are certain people, and so it's pretty important. One of the guys is Nyx from Kingslave, though.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a really cool image. Anyway, all right, so you defeat Arden, you leave your friends, which I was half unsure if it was a flashback or not, what the fuck was going on.
Right.
And then I was unsure, later, because there's another fucking scene that was apparently a flashback that I wasn't sure if it was real time and if it was in the spirit world or not. But it still totally worked for me, despite me being confused. You then go... Noctis sits on the throne. The first thing your dad tells you at the beginning of the game is, walk tall, my son, or whatever. He says, he's ready for what he has to do.
Right, and he says, I've walked tall.
I've walked tall.
And then the old kings of Lucius basically come in and just batter him. They enter the ring of the Lucii. He finally puts on the ring. He finally puts on the ring of power.
He put it on before.
Yeah, no, you know what? He did use it during
in the fights
in Chapter 13.
But he's calling upon them, so it's different, I guess.
Yeah, he's pulling them into himself in a weird way, and they're entering the ring, but it's causing him serious personal harm.
Yeah.
This thing is basically killing him, and he's just sitting there taking it. It's this vicious, dark, visceral scene of him just dying before you, and the very last one is your father. And he takes the sword.
Taking up his sword.
Yeah, he takes the sword of the father and he rams it through your chest.
Yeah.
And his armor suit, by the way, is fucking awesome looking. I want to play that motherfucker. I don't want to play Noctis.
There is the game.
No, yeah, but come on. So he rams it through your chest, and Noctis then dies.
Right.
You're dead. No doubt, you're dead at this moment.
Yep.
And the whole lead up, the whole purpose, like we talked, he had to die to then enter the spirit world. It's like that movie, fucking Flatliners, where they are almost dead and they're able to go into some alternate world and see shit. It's like that, but 10 times cooler, because he's the only way we can kill this motherfucker
permanently
is by dying.
So he has to die. And him and Luna Freya, with all the power that they've received, I guess.
Yeah.
They then
takes
Arden in spirit, which is fucked up.
So what happens is you go into the spirit realm, and since your body your spirit has been invaded by the old kings, they join you, and it's like Knights of the Round summon, and they go berserk on Arden. But prior to that, what happens is you see Luna Freya, and she kind of tugs on Arden, she distracts him for a moment, and then the old kings of Lucius and everyone just goes to town on Arden, and he just turns into feathers. He's just destroyed, and that's the only way they could kill Arden and bring the world back to its normal state.
Chosen king with all the powers, and the king has to die in order to go into the spirit realm.
Right, yeah.
Which is crazy confusing, but that's what happens.
It's nuts.
Now, the next scene that you see is a flashback.
Yes.
It is not real time, and I thought it was real time.
Oh, the camp
first time I
scene?
played the game, and I thought that everybody had died. So the next thing you see is the guys out, and they're camping, and they talk about it being an eternity, which I fucking thought meant they were in the afterlife as well.
Oh,
It's
really?
Like, it's been an eternity.
Yeah, no.
So I was like, did they fucking die out there with the monsters? And Noctis died as well. And like, this is in his sort of personal heaven or hell. I'm not sure. Like his own personal afterlife.
Yeah.
Where sometimes he's with them and he's just camping and they reminisce.
Yeah. Just like the rest of the game.
Anyway, I was unsure. I think it was more clear that it was a flashback later on.
Yeah.
But I was unsure the first time I played the game. Either way, I just kind of looked at that scene as like, oh wow, that's sad and confusing, and what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it's a flashback that basically they're all coming to terms with what they have to do, and they're like accepting each other, as the group.
But then you see a scene that caps it off.
Right, you get a nice little clearing of the skies. The Star Scourge is gone.
Right.
Noctis accomplished his goal. Everything's set in motion. Things are returning to normal. And we kind of zoom in on the Crown City, and there's like banners out, and then there's a little. It looks like a gravesite to me. Second time through, it looked like this is where Noctis is buried, because they have a banner that has Noctis's name on it. And then we pan up and go into the throne room where Noctis is sitting on the throne, super snazzed up, right? He's dressed to impress, I would say. This is like
He's
business.
ready. He's ready for that My Chemical Romance concert.
For sure, yeah. And he's all dressed up, and then Luna Freya is there as well. And Luna Freya rests her head on Noctis's shoulder. And you pull out the picture that you take with you. So the whole game, Prompto's taking photos, okay? And you get to choose what picture you take with you as like a last memory, a last beautiful moment. And that's something that you're showing Luna Freya, and then she rests her head on you, and then the logo finishes, and you get Noctis sitting there on the throne with Luna Freya leaning on you.
Right.
And
the game's over.
The game ends. Now, this is...
In the afterlife, most likely.
I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily afterlife. It's happening in the real world because we know spirits can manifest themselves in this universe.
That's true.
It's a question of whether or not Noctis and Luna Freya are alive or dead.
I think they're dead.
I think so too, but I have some pretty good points to them being alive.
And I totally thought the other guys were dead too, but I don't think they are anymore.
I think if they're dead, I think everyone's dead. Personally, that's my interpretation, is that they all died. They all knew what this was going to cost, and they went in and they did it.
Well, the Star Scourge would be lifted after Noctis did his thing with Arden, who caused it.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that they probably lived, and Noctis died.
I don't think so. I think it happened. There was a time lapse.
Anyway.
With the Star Scourge clearing up.
It is up for debate.
Well, here's the reason why I think they could have lived.
Okay.
I don't think... Okay, so initially when I played it, I figured they were all dead. I do think the friends die. I think they die out there holding it off. I
think the friends live and Noctis dies.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to say I don't know, but I think if they die, they all die. And my reasoning is it looks like there's a time lapse in between him killing what's his face, Arden, and the Star Scourge actually clearing and everything getting back to normal. It looks like there's some time that passes. Like it takes time for that to heal. That's why I think they're totally dead. They're out there fighting forever. And plus, Noctis took all the items with him. I mean, Noctis holds the inventory. I left them out there with their base health, and we know how the AI is in this game. If one of them gets down, it's going to take them a minute before they actually go over and help them back up. So they probably died. The thing that kind of turns me into thinking Noctis and Luna Freya could be alive in the end is this here. So Luna Freya is Arden in a way. She is taking on the Star Scourge. She's healing people. It's weakening her. We see throughout the game how she is becoming physically ill and almost like doesn't even want to continue on because she's so weakened by the blight that is the Star Scourge.
Yeah, but she isn't cursed the same way Arden is.
We don't know that. We don't know exactly how Arden's curse works.
Because otherwise there'd be like a whole bunch of oracles down the line. I don't think that's the case. I like they would all be cursed with immortality.
I don't know how many there have been.
I almost think that like Arden like took too many and he became more demon than human or something.
Maybe, but I mean we don't know how his immortality works.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I think Luna Freya, because we see her in that afterlife, we see her manifest herself to help you kill Arden in the afterlife, which means that she's there, which means she might not be dead. And Noctis, he might have just been brought to the brink of death rather than actually being fully killed, and is capable as the king, as the chosen king, of coming back from the afterlife and being alive again. That's why
there is that part where he like looks like he's taking on the scourge himself. You remember where he like goes up his arm?
Yeah. They could be alive. I honestly, to this day, I thought the first time I played it, I was like, they're totally dead. Second time I looked at it and I was like, this is a completely open-ended story here. The only ones that I'm pretty fucking sure are dead are his friends.
I'm pretty sure his friends are alive.
So this is a very different story we're both getting
all
here.
Right.
But that's the cool ambiguity of it, is like, does it really matter in the end? Because I don't think it does. Arden did what he wanted to do. Maybe if Noctis is dead, his whole objective this entire game was to kill Noctis. It was to end the line.
Noctis also saved the world by doing the same thing.
He did. So Noctis, they both kind of got their objective done. I mean, Arden wanted revenge against the line of Lucius, and he got it, as far as we can tell.
The line is ended.
The line, it's well, if Noctis is actually not dead, then it isn't. But Arden, as far as Arden knows, Arden got what he wanted, because Arden was there in the afterlife with him when he got like turned into feathers and went to dust. So Arden thinks he won, and Noctis also won by removing the Star Scourge. So it's kind of honestly, whether he lives or dies, I don't even think really matters that much. It's almost like, spoilers, end of Sopranos, where it's, they get cut off mid-sentence and you don't know what happens.
Oh, I'll give you two more ambiguous endings. No Country for Old Men, and I'll give you Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Who knows?
Wait, with her jumping?
Yeah. Did she die or did she live?
She totally fucking died. Are you kidding me? It isn't explicitly stated, though, so I guess, yeah. No Country for Old Men is fucking confusing. It's a great movie, though. But yeah, I don't even know if it matters if he lived or died. I think it's just over. The story's over.
It's ambiguous.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of genius because of that. I do think that he is probably dead, and that's all just like post-life, afterlife imagery with him and Luna Freya, just because of how long Luna Freya has been gone.
But you're saying it's possibly not.
Yeah, it's possible that she's not dead.
Okay. All right. I thought you were saying he's alive.
No, I don't know. I don't know that he's alive. I'm leaning a little bit more towards dead, but there's nothing definitive in it.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned.
Well, all right, Schweiss. We did touch upon two big aspects that we didn't like, and we've touched upon some things that we do like. How do you feel about the story overall?
Well, I think
it's time to talk about this brand new game, and as honestly and openly as you can.
I think the story was okay in this game. It is very simple, which is something I actually appreciate from Final Fantasy. I'm
gonna get on that. So
the last big main series entry that we had was Final Fantasy 13. Now, Final Fantasy 13's storytelling is
convoluted mess.
Yeah, it's very top heavy, very front loaded, and by the time you get to the end, when you're actually seeing some of the stuff in fruition, you've forgotten what was going on. You don't really recall.
There's no clear goals. There are clear goals in 15. There are no clear goals in 13.
Yeah, the clear goal is the thing that the bad guy has been telling you the whole time. So
which
it's like
isn't
really
even that
weird.
Clear.
No, yeah, and you only see that in the very, very end when you're like, oh my god, he's right. And then the game ends, and you're like...
But no character acknowledges that?
No, that was the weirdest thing. No one's like, oh, good on you, Bartandalus. Good on you. Like, they don't say shit. It's just over. I'm like, what? Anyway, no, I feel like the gameplay the story is good in Final Fantasy 15. I feel like there's a lot of things that they wanted to explore more, and they didn't, for whatever reason. I feel like there's a lot of story that could have been had in the World of Ruin when it comes to catching you up on the characters. I think that part of the story should have taken 4 or 5 hours rather than less than 1 to get from World of Ruin, where your character suddenly becomes Keanu Reeves, to end credits was like an hour and a half, only because I took 20 minutes to choose which awesome photo I was going to bring in the second time, which joke photo, as it were. Ended up with Arden. It was fantastic. Second choice was Cindy Cleavage. I kind of think that one would have been funnier, given that they like Luna Freya is like looking at it with you. But it felt like there should have been a lot more with the Emperor. I felt like he was a character that I was very interested in, even from Kingsglaive. That guy, I was like, man, this guy is like trading blows with the king here.
He just turns out to be a pawn in Arden's scheme.
Yeah, and it's like, even if he ends up being a pawn, I would love to have seen more development from him. Like Aranea, a character that we haven't talked about yet, a mercenary that was employed by the Empire that we end up fighting at one point in a Dragoon-esque fight. She ends up like leaving the Imperial Army because shit gets crazy with the fucking demons, right? She finds out that they're turning people into demons, and she's like, "I didn't sign up for that shit."
Yeah, and so she kind of becomes a helper every once in a while.
She'll run around and help you with.
She was pretty much a nothing character though after like an hour.
Well, I like her character a lot, but she's not involved.
Right.
So yeah, nothing as far as the plot.
Sort of a side character.
As a plot device.
Ravis is inside of kind of the same category of one of the characters you pick up and then you leave.
And then I feel like they wanted to do a lot more with Ravis too. That's a part of the story that I was like, I saw him in Kingsglaive and I was like, oh, this guy's going to be a player. This guy's going to be part of this overall scheme, and he was very loosely, and it almost seemed rushed. Like they explain a lot of stuff with like a really small cutscene and then a bunch of little notes lying around. Like they didn't have time maybe to flesh it out as well as they wanted to. And it's in moments like that where the story sort of falls short. And I mean, I would argue the same for Sid, the character Sid that you meet throughout the game, who you find out is like a longtime friend of your father's. Him and Gladiolus's dad, your dad, and that black guy from there's some other dude from Altitia that they're all buddies with, and they went on a similar adventure as kids. They they went out and did it. It almost has a Final Fantasy X feel, where it's like you're following in the footsteps. Their great adventure is hinted at very vaguely, and it's like, yeah, we went on a grand adventure a long time ago. We went to the city. We did kind of the same shit you guys are doing, and then it says that while it zooms in on a photo of all of them, and then that's like it. And I'm like, what? I want to know. I want to know about that. I want to know what happened there. I want to get more story, more lore on what your dad did as a kid. I want to see what happened with them. I know we have Core is a character that we got, and he was supposed to be an original party member. And looking at old screenshots, there were 5. It was Noctis, Core, Gladiolus, Ignis, and Prompto. And now he's been reduced to a character who seems very important at times. He's like, Core is a big deal. And then he just like falls off. Like it just falls off the face of the earth. And it almost seems like there's a lot of things that they wanted to do with this game and they couldn't. And now I'm coming at this from an angle of, I know there's a lot of articles out there and a lot of things out there saying like rumors of what happened with Final Fantasy 15 and like maybe they should have delayed it for even another year. To be honest, with some of the stuff that you've been hinting at, but I haven't read any of that. This is all just
what you feel.
Yeah, these are all just observations I've made in the game, and the most egregious one is definitely the World of Ruin. Like that should have been such a powerful section of the game where you're just coming back and you're like seeing what happened, what they had to do to stay alive, and you only get a secondhand story from a kid who was in the game for like an hour, and he wasn't even really that important. His grandpa was just an ally of the fucking King's Guard, the Crown's Guard. Like that's what he was. He was just this grandchild of the Crown's Guard guy. Now he's the vehicle for catching me up on the last decade of story. I'm like, what? I want to see it. I want to experience it. I at least want to experience the world. And I felt like that part was really lacking.
Okay.
One really big positive I would give the game is Arden as a villain. I think is really fucking good.
Really good bad guy. And I thought he was terrible in Kingslave.
Yeah.
There was something about it, like his voice work with his mouth movements, like didn't work in Kingslave. And I was like, what the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Why is he here? It's random as shit. I don't know what his fucking purpose is. Obviously, it's clear to me now, but still, Kingslave sucks anyway. But like,
yeah, the whole time he's just getting you to do his bidding in a way. He's like, yep, collect all the stuff, get all the power, and I'm going to kill you. In the end, he's like leading you along in some sick and twisted way just to try to kill you in the end, and he's convinced.
It is much more clear than the Bartandalis way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Especially going through
way better bad guy.
especially going through the game a second time. Like, the whole interaction with him and Shiva, where he's like telling Shiva, like, oh, wow, that's the same face you wore the day. Boom. And like
that scene is great.
Yeah, that's him.
Great.
That's him tying it all in. I mean, there's like an issue of the magazine thing where it shows Gentiana on it, and it's got what looks like the Chosen One, and it's Arden, and he's out there curing people. There's like an issue of that weird astral, whatever the fuck,
the
astral mag, yeah, that has that, and that's what he's referencing. He's referencing, oh yeah, I know who Shiva is. It's like, yeah, you're this, and then he gets like frozen, and I think his character is probably one of the strongest suits in this game. He's great, and like it's so dark and it's so menacing what he's doing the whole time, and he sort of gets I think he's one of the guys who does get what he wants in the end. If Noctis is in fact dead, he kills the line. That's his whole objective, is to kill Noctis's line, and he gets him to do it because he gets him to chase him into the afterlife and finish him off. But Noctis is dead for doing it, and he's finally gotten his revenge. He can finally die. He's no longer immortal, this fucking lich bound to the world character, and I fucking loved him. Yeah. His voice acting is like fucking top notch. His character is interesting. It's foreboding. Everything is great about him. I like the character. I do, even though I know he's a fucking dick in the end.
We'll have to rank the bad guys later and see how he.
Yeah, because he's high. I would say he's way up there.
Yeah.
As far as like success and character motivation, I think they combined the best of both worlds with Sephiroth and Kefka, where they made him get what he wants. They made him destroy the world, turn it into darkness, and they also gave him a reason for it, rather than just pure insanity, which is something I love about Eastern mythos kind of stuff. Like, they have a reason. You know, he's doing this because he was betrayed. He's doing this so that he can die, because he doesn't want to carry on being this evil, vindictive asshole. Essentially, he's ready to die in a way, I would say. I don't know if he for sure thought he was actually going to, but that's another part of the story that I think is interesting to explore as well, because we don't know for sure. Maybe he was just trying to kill Noctis and figured he would rule afterwards. I kind of like the idea that he knew he was going to probably die, but he knew that that the only way he could die was by getting Noctis to come into the afterlife with him, so he could, take out two birds with one stone, essentially. So.
Yeah, I dug the story, actually. There are problems with it, but to me, the positives far outweigh the negatives. I know a lot of people don't agree with me on that, and that's totally fine. Here's what the story is missing. It's missing an expository scene with Luna Freya. It's missing an expository scene to justify the twist with Prompto, which I still think is a throwaway and should have probably been rewritten. And then it's missing a scene that would make us more emotionally satisfied when he comes back into the world of ruin. And it could have just been one scene. Yeah. And it would have made those sections better. What I will tell you, that it is so much fucking stronger than most of the Final Fantasy games, is in its straightforward, stripped down, perhaps too stripped down with 4 scenes missing, stripped down storytelling. There is a legitimate act structure in this game. It doesn't go off on weird fucking tangents. It's very straightforward. You're going to go get your throne back. As soon as the end of the first act, which is when you find out the king is dead and Cor tells you to go get the swords and everything and go. That is your job. And you have to go do that. And Luna Freya, that's the midpoint when she fucking dies and all hope seems to be lost and your guides are blind. That's the midpoint of the game. Second half of the second act of the game is the train ride all the way up to when you get Prompto. There's a stupid end of the second act twist. And then you go in, and then the end of the third act is, of course, when you decide, okay, this is your final thing, is you have to go and beat this guy and you will die. Structurally, besides it missing some scenes in the first act, which definitely needed to be there, I think it is stronger than most of the Final Fantasy games. Maybe 6 is probably the stronger one in that aspect, and 7 as well.
Yeah, but 7 had a lot of confusing moments too, though. A lot of stuff, but that was mostly translation issues. As far as
translation issues, and
as far as our interview with Daniel Burke was concerned, that seemed to be the big part of 7 being so difficult as a kid.
And with 15, there is a lot of expository stuff missing, or it seemed on the first playthrough to be glanced over. You said that on the second playthrough it was more clear to you.
Oh yeah.
And so, that may probably be the case. That it might just need a second playthrough, but it's not on the same bullshit, like, what the fuck is going on level as 13, or I would even say 12 is like, what the fuck is going on? 10, I'm still confused about how Sin works, but I still love 10 regardless of that.
Yeah.
And also, I think it has, I would say the second best ending in the entire series.
Really?
I think it has the second best finale of any of them, even with its ambiguity. The emotional rise out of that final part where all the shit he's sacrificing, all the things that have come down to, this last scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that it's an incredible moment. I think the best ending in the series is FF10. But I think this is the second most powerful ending that I have seen in the series. And that ending almost makes up for the expository problems that there are in this game.
Yeah.
The exposition, by the way, is there. It's just very thin.
It is very thin.
And then, of course,
it's more along the lines of I think the big thing that makes the exposition in this game suffer is the open worldness that you get exposed to in chapter 3 and 4.
Yeah, but I tell you what, that's important for character development with the friends. The friends are the most important thing in this game. They're much more important than Luna Freya, besides the game made it seem at the beginning, and it should have, because it was a twist, in the middle of the game where she dies. The game made it seem like it was going to be Luna Freya was going to be the thing. And you were like, well, this is kind of a
and the bromance was just a side plot, but it's the bromance
is the plot, and that's obviously why they chose the fucking song that they chose as the theme song.
Yeah, Stand By Me.
The absolute most important thing in this game is the friendship between those guys and how it comes to a head at the very end of that game.
Yeah, certainly.
I think it's wonderful, honestly. And I'm not going to fucking apologize for it. I know there's fucking problems and there's little holes here and there. I think those can be filled in with DLC if they want to. Even if they don't, I still fucking love the story of this game. I fucking love that ending. I thought it was incredible.
Well, I mean, the ending is fucking hardcore. I mean, the guy kills himself to go into the afterlife to kill a guy. That's fucking awesome. Regardless of whether or not he could be alive or dead at the end, it's sick. It's fucking insane that he just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to die, and I'm going to kill you while I'm fucking dead.
And I will say something that's fucking refreshing in this game that I haven't had in for fucking ever is a Final Fantasy that takes itself seriously.
Yeah.
Almost the whole time.
Yeah, until we get the cup noodle quest, and then it becomes
that's an extra quest. I'm talking about the main story of the game.
Yeah, although
it is brutal, first off, which I've been asking for, like an adult flavored Final Fantasy game. Not like adult sexual, but like made for grown-ups. There's some serious violence going on. The stakes are huge, which is very refreshing. There's no little I say little, but it's usually 3 hours of the game where you're dealing with the fucking plot having to do with selfie or some shit.
Yeah.
It is straightforward, it is dark, it is brutal. There are still moments of humor and everything like that. I think it's the perfect mix. This is the type of Final Fantasy story I've been wanting for a long time. just a serious one, you know.
Yeah.
13 was serious, but it was also done really poorly. It was like I don't know, it was like a soap opera, and this is not a soap opera.
No.
This is, I don't know. I
would say that
I loved it.
That's part of where the story suffers as well, though. I mean, you don't get the time with these side characters. We don't really know very much about Ignis, Prompto, and Gladiolus. Their motives.
You get time with them in a different way. You get time with them as you play the game along with and it was enough for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like it kind of fell short in that category, and I didn't feel quite as strongly towards them. I felt a great connection with Noctis. I think Noctis is a pretty good main character. But the side guys, I don't know. They're just there, and I still liked them, and I ended up like choosing favorites and ones that I didn't like as much. But they're mostly just a utility for me. I don't know.
I felt the nostalgia at the end for the boys. I honestly did.
I mostly felt Noctis's plight. I'm pretty sure they're fucking dead. So, but I did feel disappointed that they didn't like make more of an issue with the 10-year gap thing. So maybe I did feel they were fleshed out enough to where I felt that needed to be included. But I don't know. I think the story works though. I do like what you said about it's a very straightforward story. There's not a whole lot of speculation, except for like Arden. There's a lot of weird stuff around Arden, but that's kind of how it should be. He's the bad guy.
A lot of the Final Fantasy games are like, everything that you're leading up to is steeped in lore. Have fun.
Yeah, and this one is, there's some heavy lore.
Yeah.
And it's stuff little things that you don't notice, and that you do notice the second time through, or if you were to play it quicker than we did probably, you'd notice it a little better, but I think the story works. I don't necessarily think it's one of the stronger ones in the series. I like the execution of it, though, and I do like that they brought us a more mature Final Fantasy game. I'm surprised to hear you say that you liked the ending more than the ending of Dirge of Cerberus, though. To be completely honest, I figured the Dirge being over would be your high point throughout this entire Final Fantasy playthrough.
I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You're like, I don't even remember what fucking happened at the end. I just remember, like, finally coming back into consciousness after the blind rage that was that playthrough.
No. I honestly, as far as the main series games go, I mean, I'm still playing through spin-offs, and, you know, Crisis Core was kind of an underperformer for me personally. Which I was always told the ending's amazing, but the endings is what you see in FF7 plus a little bit more.
Can you tell that Tabata has a style, though?
I can.
You can tell it's a Tabata game.
I can tell it's a Tabata game. So that I think his stamp on it, I think, is stronger than Nomura's.
Yeah.
Obviously Nomura. Yeah.
Really quick emotional story with 7 million hours of filler side quests.
Okay, all right.
Hajime Tabata.
You say this is a short story, but you played through. You were able to actually finish your second playthrough.
Yeah.
And it only took you 10 hours. I say only took you 10 hours? Are you fucking kidding? In other Final Fantasy games, that would be normal up till game number 9. So
7
I
for
would
10 hours? No.
10 hours of only story. You can speed run that game in less than that.
7 is
Which
like,
is all, and if you're talking about all story, I'm telling you, man, it's about that same length. The thing is that much like FF13, like everything's kind of heavy in one area, and so it feels like it's much shorter than it is, which I would actually say is probably a positive for this one. 13 feels longer than it should be. Besides, you're dealing with 12 hours of story. It's a longer story. But those earlier games, I think it's about on par with 8 to 10 hours for just the story content. I think that's about right. I think it has like 7 hours of cutscenes in it. FF10 had 10, so I don't know if it's that far off.
Yeah, I don't know. FF10 had 10 hours of cutscenes. Final Fantasy 15 had 10 hours total cutscenes.
Okay, all right.
Gameplay.
All right. So
it's not super short though. I get what you're saying. It is very light, and I would say when I went into the open world, there was almost no story up to that point.
My problem with the other Final Fantasy games though, like FF12, they always take detours in the plot that take forever. forever. And it's just to add more areas to the game and add these little subplots. So you're talking about these side characters. There'd probably be a whole, if it were a different Final Fantasy game, there'd be a whole entire section for that side character.
Yeah.
But this game, stripped down, which I liked it this way. I thought it was a plus for this game. Stripped down, it just said, it treated him like a movie. It treated him like a side character in a movie.
Yeah,
It just like, that's not the point of this game. They're there to support you, but the point is this. And it went right for it. So,
all right.
I don't know. I disagree with you, obviously, on the story a little bit. I appreciated most of this game, despite the fact that it does have some flaws in it. And I would say those flaws are, besides the two scenes that I have the most problem with, Prompto and the coming back to the World of Ruin, I think they're minor.
All right, that's fair.
So,
World of Ruin minor.
I said besides those.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't listening. I just heard minor and then World of Ruin, and I was like, triggered.
No.
Okay.
I think expository scenes with Luna Freya and with Ravis, those are minor for me.
You don't mind those?
No. But
do you feel like it could have been more fleshed out though? Like it should. Like it's almost like
Luna Freya especially should have been more fleshed out.
It's like watching season 5 of Game of Thrones. Okay. They do a lot of stuff in season 5.
About Game of Thrones so much on this show.
That's not right. Well, this Final Fantasy is very Game of Thronesy, I would say. It seems to pull from that universe. They try to do a lot of things with Dorne, right? And Dorne does not go well in that season. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it.
The actresses are fucking terrible.
They mishandled Dorne, and you know what they did at the end of that? They fucking killed everybody. They're like, you know what? Fuck it. Dorne's gone. And I kind of feel like that's what they did with Ravis and Luna Freya's character. They're like, you know what? This fucking thing, we said September 30th. It's going to be November, and we're just going to cut that shit out, too. And maybe it'll be put in later. And you know what? I hope it is. But as of right now, I can tell that they almost wanted to go more into that. And, like, the general guy, the guy that sounds like a fucking orc when he's with the king, the guy's like, yes, the preparations are almost complete. That guy seemed awesome. We don't ever see him again. It's like just there. And I'm like, what? You're going to give me this fucking dude?
I don't think it needs to be a 1,300-page novel. I'm okay with with some characters dropping off like that. Since they're not the main character, they don't support the main plot, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, and you know what?
I understand your want, but I also disagree with
They do. They probably did support the main plot.
They may have at one
Why would they
point
have him in there then? You know what they do with Game of Thrones when they bring it from the book to the TV show? They condense it. They say, okay, these 5 people did these 5 different things. Now it's going to be one person. It's going to be Jorah who gets grayscale. It's going to be them that do this guy that does this and this. But
they don't have a source material. Well, I guess they sort of do. But
I don't know. It just seems bizarre. But it's not necessarily a super bad thing. And it's just like little things that I kind of wish they would have explored that I'm okay with them not to some extent. But I could tell it feels like they wanted to do more with it, but they probably just ran out of time.
I like the straightforwardness.
All right.
Yeah, personally. Anyway, so I think anything else you want to say about the story, Schweiss?
I found its ending to be satisfying. I thought I think they did a good job.
Okay.
And I do think that Tabata is capable. I definitely think he has a soft spot for sad endings and like really shitty things happening to his characters throughout. But I don't think that's really a bad thing. I mean, especially within the Final Fantasy series, like you said, we don't get these adult Final Fantasies very often. I think 12 skirted with it.
Okay, 12, had
with
a lot
Bosch
of it.
and
You're
Balthier. Right. Heavy on that end, but the main characters not so much. This one,
and that was the good parts of 12.
Yeah, the parts that they didn't throw in last minute to appeal to a younger audience. Fucking damn it! But in this one, it's throughout the whole thing. Like King's dead early on,
and I think it's better written than 13.
One thing. Another point that bugged me: Gladiolus and Iris. Their father is dead. They know their father is dead. They don't care throughout the whole thing. They don't seem to get emotional. There's the one scene, I guess, in right before you fight Titan where Gladiolus freaks out at Noctis. He's like, you know what? It's hard for all of us. but that's it. Nothing from Iris. She seems extremely emotionally charged as a character. She's always trying to like get with Noctis. She has like a crush on him, and she's like,
Did
really.
you think early on that I was like, maybe Noctis should get with Iris?
Yeah, until I found out she was like 15, and I was like, oh God, I need to go cleanse.
I misjudged the age of this character.
But that kind of felt almost like a Tifa Aerith thing to me for a little bit. I was like, maybe it should be her.
But that was misleading. It wasn't the case. So.
I almost say it might have been explored, but they didn't. They cut it. Iris definitely wanted it to be that way, but I don't know if Noctis might have felt more towards her than he did Luna Freya, but it might have just been as like a little sister thing. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but that did feel like I wonder if he's going to get with her instead. Like maybe I'll have an episode where I like try to be counterculture and be like, well, Iris, but definitely not now that I know. Maybe Iris getting with post-game Noctis after she's aged a little bit, if she can accept his old manness, because now he's like 30. But I don't know. I feel like the lack of emotion from Gladiolus and Iris, though, it's something missing. Their dad's dead. He died protecting the king. They know he would have died protecting the king because he is the king's sworn shield. And the king's dead. And their dad's dead. But it just doesn't seem like they have any sort of reaction to that ever throughout the game. And they the big reason why I think she would have is she got emotional. They both got emotional over Jared, Talcot's grandfather, getting killed. It can only be Jared. But they have no emotion towards their own father dying. What was that? Like, you remember that scene when Jared dies, when Talcott accidentally gets his grandfather killed, and they're like mad. They have emotion. Iris is crying because this guy died. This friend of the family died. Her dad died. Like, for God's sake, I don't
know. Yeah, you're right. There should have been something there.
I don't know what.
I don't think
what
I
happened.
thought about that scene in a long time, but there probably should have been something there.
Like, what? Did they not think that they were going to kill him in Kingsglaive when they wrote the first chunk of the game, or what? Did they think like? I can understand Gladiolus stealing himself and him being similar to me, where the only emotion I share is anger. Every other emotion, it's just like I'm steel-faced about. I can get his character doing that, but not his sister. Not the way she teared up over some old guy dying that was about as connected to the plot as she was. Maybe even less so. But yeah, that's another thing that I noticed when I was playing, that I was like, I don't know. I felt like that was a missed thing, a misstep even. But overall, though, I did enjoy the story. I did like how it was straightforward. You're right. There's not a whole ton of really confusing stuff, except for where it kind of should be confusing. The ending and Arden. I think that stuff being weird and not really understanding exactly who he is, I think it's fine. Right. I think that stuff is great. So,
okay.
Overall satisfied,
I'd
say, with the story.
Right. Well, after some time, we can finally talk about gameplay.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Strike Knight? You missed the story review.
That one might be episode 1. I think we went over 2 hours.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about story on the first episode?
Perhaps.
Wow.
Well, we'll just do it in segments, and then when
we're done, we'll see where it needs to.
We'll see where it needs to cut, and then we'll cut in.
Okay.
Might as well keep going because
we have to.
Gameplay. So they changed up a lot of things from the previous Final Fantasy games, except maybe 14. That is that the combat is now an action game, as it was planned to be during Versus 13.
Of course.
And
they like to do that with the spin-offs.
Taking a lot of stuff from Kingdom Hearts, which is, of course, another Nomura game, which is how this game started out. Yeah. And what do you think about the new battle system, Schweiss? It's crazy compared to the other Final Fantasy games before it. I mean, it's so different.
It is very different, and I had a lot of fun with it. It is Kingdom Heartsy in a good and a bad way. It's usually pretty simple to get a hang of. Circle for attack, square to block. You can switch your weapons around pretty quickly, do some sweet combo moves.
I love the warping.
The warp strikes, that is amazing. I think a lot of that stuff is really fun. However, the game, I feel, does suffer from some of those same strengths. The ease of the combat, you seriously don't even press the button. You press it one time and your guy just like does his attacks. You hold circle down for most of the game and then occasionally hit square.
Well, I think that opens you up for the tactical aspects of this game, which is of course like a huge part of the game is warping out, figuring out your situation, blocking and parrying
counters
as well. Yeah.
I would say,
or the fact that you have to get behind an enemy to do more damage.
Yeah, blindside. I would say the combat itself is it gets stale at times, but the execution of the combat is what makes it fun.
So it's all the other things.
The actual holding of the circle button
go together.
Yeah, is not fun.
Okay.
It's mindless.
So you wish it was more of a direct action sort of thing.
I don't know. I actually like the way they execute it. I just think that the control scheme is kind of bizarre. Like you just hold circle. But I do like the idea of, let's try to get behind this guy. So I'll do a warp. I'll untarget him, do a warp, get behind him, do like a link strike, which does extra damage. I love the limit break replacement in this game, where you summon the armigers and you go Super Saiyan and you just launch them at each other. And then I love the techniques that your characters get, Ignis, Prompto, and Gladiolus. You get to customize those. Certain ones are great in certain instances. Getting Ignis's Overwhelm and equipping the bow. You remember me showing you that thing? You like Noctis has the bow armature on, and it's just like it's fucking nuts. Like there's so many crazy different things you can do. Fighting certain monsters especially in the Castlemark bonus dungeon, which is bullshit, by the way. Couldn't finish it. There's certain enemies that won't take physical damage, but Prompto has a little move where he shoots out the gravisphere and they can take gravity damage. And that's just what I had to use. Like I was like, well, I gotta use magic, so let's just throw this one on and I'll just dink around until I get his the little technique bar filled up. That kind of stuff I thought was really fun. And it's weird with this game. When the first little bit in, I hated the combat. I hated it. I thought it was hold circle and hold square all fucking day, and that's your life. Right? I didn't get it. There's almost too much going on in the beginning. I'd say it's almost overwhelming because you have so many things happening. You've got 4 or 5 enemies moving around. You've got your characters moving around. You're keeping an eye on like what the game is telling you, like, oh, press square to block, and you're also trying to watch the enemies. There's just too much happening. But then I don't know, like 15 hours in or so, when I'm doing side quests, it just clicks, and you're like, fuck, I'm great at this game now. As long as you buy the weapons, please God, buy weapons when you get into new zones or you're fucked. I ended up really enjoying it by the end. I think it's a weird thing. Like everyone was going off about how awesome the gameplay was, and at the beginning I was like,
well, I loved it in the Disque demo, except for the blocking, but they greatly improved the blocking with the actual game.
Yes, the blocking in the Disque demo was fucking awful.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, it says hit circle, but not really, and
it's like, when do I hit it?
It's like counter, but counter means you block and then hit again, and like there
was like a range of motion for the enemies.
Yeah,
you remember that shit? Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, way better now.
This is great. I loved using the environment to my advantage. I kind of dug the challenge of sometimes you would have like hordes of enemies you had to deal with, and you had to like know which ones to pick off first.
Yeah,
strategically. I thought that the use of items in this game was nice. I liked that the game paused for a second and let you do your thing, because otherwise it would freaking take forever. It's awful. Even though the animation for it was annoying as
it was, but you know what? You can turn that shit off.
Yeah, you told me that, and I was like, fuck, that probably would have saved me 50 minutes of gameplay.
You know when I was told about that? What my game clock was? 80 hours. 80 fucking hours of me watching Prompto put that little feather above his body and use the Phoenix down, and I'm just like, oh, use it, you fuck! What are you waiting for? Why do I have to watch you fucking use this item? But you don't even have to. You could fucking turn it off in the menu.
I liked the new change they did, because before you had okay, Noctis will do 5 strikes in a row, and each will be a different weapon. That's what we thought we were going to get with the game.
Oh, yeah.
But what we got with the game is that you can switch weapons based upon, like, strategically when you want to use a certain weapon.
Right.
So let's say you're dealing with a crab or something, you would use a much heavier sort of broadsword instead of maybe your main kind of fast weapon.
Yeah, with them, actually, the spear was the best weapon.
Okay, I never had. I think I had a spear once and then I chucked it.
But yeah, each enemy, like you're saying, it almost has a Final Fantasy X feel in that way where, okay, this character's good for taking out this enemy
Yeah.
until you're 80 hours in, and then Oron's
Everything.
attacking with like max speed and you just fucking steamroll. But there's like a strategy to it. You can do the game at a low level because of that. There's like certain enemies that are weak to certain things, and I think that's very intuitive.
Also, the magic system in this game is, I didn't like it just because I thought using it was almost a waste of time, although a lot of people like it, and it does do massive damage when you use it, but it also hurts your own party.
Yeah.
But I think for like the concept of how magic is used in the world, I think it's one of the best examples of that in the series. So you're not getting the spells from the summons or anything like that. Like, you gain the magic, and it's like the perfect version of the draw system from FF8. You gain the magic, and you use that magic in combat, but it's actually something that means like a lot.
Yes.
And of course, you can mix and match certain types of spells and everything like that, and level up certain spells and all that other shit. And it's a much more complicated system than that, but it's almost like a magic grenade.
Yeah.
And it's used for like large tactical areas or big bosses or something like that, or if something has a weakness to a certain type of magic, you would then use the magic grenade bomb. So I didn't use magic that much because, you know, I like to hack and slash things, but I know you used it quite a bit.
Yeah, I like the magic. Suck on that, Stolas. I thought the magic was very intuitive. In fact, it bugged me at first, though. I will admit. Taking mass amounts of damage, watching my characters freeze and like get hurt by my own spell, I was like, God, I don't ever want to do this again. But when I started playing around with the Expericast and various other elements that the magic has with it, I ended up having a lot of fun with it, and it definitely serves a purpose. I can do like 40,000 damage with one spell in that post-game dungeon. I'm doing like 40k. And just right there. Just 40,000, boom, done. Dealt, fucking over. It's something that I would probably explore more if I were to do a level 1 run of this game, which is where you equip the post-game item, start a new game, and your characters are all sitting at level 1. And I think magic would be a lot more important then, because you could break that 30,000 without having to level up your characters and get the stat boosts and stuff like that. But I don't know. I kind of liked it. I think it was they had some great animations for the magic too, and this is something that that makes me hard in a Final Fantasy game. All right. Is like when we played FF4 on when I played After Years on PSP, the magic, the way it looks, amazing, right? It's fucking cool. Like, I love it when the magic looks cool. In Final Fantasy 15, it looks fucking awesome.
It does.
And it interacts with the world around you. When you cast an ice spell, there's ice. Like, everything's frozen. Your characters, their costumes, everyone gets, like, iced over. If you're in a lake, that part where Ignis is blind, I used an ice spell, and it froze the lake around my legs.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
I was stuck in the lake because I froze the lake. I was like, dude, this is like just a little thing, and it's so fucking cool. The electricity, it fries the area around it, the fire, all of that.
Yeah.
I liked it. I think it's more of a thing that I kind of like the Curecast, honestly. Like, you can attach a couple potions to it, and you can just pull all your health back up instantly.
Oh, that's awesome.
So in that post-game where you get locked out of items, that's kind of your only fucking saving grace.
I see.
It's still impossible for me, but I don't know. I dug the magic system. I felt like it was... I felt it was overpowered in the beginning with it doing damage to me, and I thought I wasn't going to mess around with it. But then I decided, I'll play with it. I'll see what items I can use to craft stuff. And the Expericast ended up giving me a lot of XP, which was good because I could level up quicker in the game.
I think I agree with you with the combat systems. Only I liked it from the beginning. I played a lot of Kingdom Hearts, and Kingdom Hearts, the controls were a little different, and you would mash X, like you would press X over and over again to get the hits. But you would also have moments where you were able to parry or something with the triangle button. I believe in Kingdom Hearts 2 you used it a lot, and it made the game like super easy. Yeah. But FF15, it's not. It keeps the difficulty up somehow. By like tactically, it's difficult, sort of with certain enemies at certain levels. And so in that way, like it keeps everything at the right place. It's not like you're mowing through things like in Kingdom Hearts, unless you do get to high level like we did, because we did so much shit in the game.
Even then, though, the items aren't that. It's not like Final Fantasy 12 where you're just one-shotting. I mean, there are some guys who you will one-shot.
The level 2 guys at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, but like later on, I had to hit people 3-4 times before they died. So they got some HP.
So it's more than just button mashing to kill. It's almost the tactical stuff around that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's the part I like, not necessarily the button mashing. It's
all together for me. It's like everything is the battle system. So I dug it. I dug the gameplay in this game. Yeah. It's not perfect. The biggest complaint I have as far as gameplay is concerned in this game, besides the X button in exploration, is the camera.
Oh, you think?
Camera will get you killed. The camera, unlike in Kingdom Hearts, which had a pretty good camera, not the greatest, but a pretty good camera, this camera...
what happens is
it just goes everywhere.
You have free range camera until you lock onto an enemy, and then the camera will pull you in, and you'll be locked onto the enemy. But sometimes with the distance that it gives you for the camera space to the enemy, there's like a bush in the way or something. Like in the open world, this is something I ran into way too often. I would zoom in on an enemy, and all I would see was a bush. Like, there's a bush, but I know there's like 6 enemies around the bush, so I'm like, I'm just holding circle down, like, hope I don't get hit.
Yeah. And
I'm like, geez, guys, like, fuck. I mean, I like the idea of having the camera like FF12s where you can move it around until you lock on, and then it's like, whoa! It goes like ADHD. It hyper focuses on the target, and you just get put into these weird corners where the camera just like fucking. It's like the game's just trying to come up with a reason to kill you, is what it is. It's like, how can we make this not okay? I want to kill him with this guy.
It's not the first time we've had camera problems in a Final Fantasy.
No, God, definitely not. 13 had some camera problems at times too. Mostly map though.
Yeah.
And this one's map a lot better. It went back to the 12 map, the perfect map, right? Where the map doesn't flip in the menu when you click the fucking map button, so you never know where the fuck you need to go.
You can change how the map is sort of made. So I made it so that the map was always pointing north. And that way, when I was looking at like the world map and then trying to figure out where to go next, if I was walking or using a chocobo to go somewhere, I would like never have a problem.
Yeah.
It is a way better map than the 13 map.
Yeah, no, it's great. I definitely share your harbored hatred for the camera, and it's not that often that it happens though, but it's always frustrating when it does happen.
In a dungeon, like, it is bad.
That's true, yeah,
because it'll get hooked on a wall or some shit, and because the camera, like, I can't see through the wall.
Yeah, it's almost like the camera is a sentient part of the game, and like it's alive. It's like you're getting an actual floating fucking drone or droid or whatever the fuck those. Yeah, they're drones, right?
I would say it's not alive enough. It doesn't follow your character.
Yeah, and it gets, but it like gets stuck on shit, right? So it's like a drone that you're flying in to spy on somebody, and you like it's stuck on the wall.
I mean, it will readjust when you use like the lock on or whatever. Sometimes it depends on the area you're in whether or not it works.
Yeah, I would say.
So that's probably the worst thing.
No. Okay, maybe. The X button, the control scheme for world map.
I was going to get to exploration here next.
Is a thing of hell, is what it is. It does not work for me. X is the all-encompassing button, right? X is what you use to click up, to pick up items. It's what you use to jump on your chocobo. It's what you use to select, what you use to talk. Oh, and yeah, it's also what you use to jump, because there's not, 3 other fucking controls that you can use instead of it. because you can warp strike wherever you want. Doesn't need to be that way. You can crouch whenever you want. Also doesn't need to be that way.
Or, oh my goodness, I have an idea here. When you press the X button on something, it could pop up two things, and you would just pick one.
Yeah. You know what I think they should have done?
Almost like a FF14-ish sort of quest or something like that.
I think they should have had the. You know how there's the. Okay, the bitching of the X button is gonna pull on another part of the gameplay, which might seem skewed, but it's not. You know how you can take cover behind stuff? You press square and you kind of crouch and it regens. It brings you back up to your second health bar.
Yeah.
Take that button out of the open world. Make square only make it to where you can only crouch and hide when you're in combat, and make square the jump button outside of combat. So it's like the interact button. Can be X, and then your character jumping and crouching in battle can be square. You don't need to jump in battle, so I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. In what world is this okay? I mean, I'm trying to jump on my chocobo, and Noctis is just he's just jumping in place, and I'm like, what the fuck? What is that? What are you doing? What in God's fucking name is anyone else around you thinking when he's like, you're like, oh, go check the menu. What's for dinner tonight? And Noctis is just jumping, and they're like, yeah, what's for dinner? What are you doing? Like, what in God's fucking name were they thinking when they made X the all things button?
I just remember going through a certain part of the game where you had to follow someone who was walking normally, but walking normally for Noctis is kind of a pain. You gotta barely press the forward button. And my thing was I wonder, okay, if this was real and Noctis was moving the way that I'm having him move, he would be considered the worst spaz of all time.
Yeah, he can't sit still.
He's just still. He's running around in fucking circles. He's jumping every time he's about to talk to someone. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I'll talk to you. It's insane.
Yeah, Wendy One brings up a good point. If you hold the button, he will pick up items. But that's only if you hold it. To me, and sometimes when you press X, it does just interact with the thing. He doesn't always jump.
My biggest problem
So it's
with the X button is I had... Okay, that sounds terrible. By
it
the way.
does. It's me pounding the fucking mic against my forehead. Which is something they should have done when they put this fucking control in.
I had a quest flagged at the same time one of the main quests was flagged on the same guy. And what would happen is around one end of the table, the X button would come in and out where it would be the quest. And on the other end of the table that I had to move to, it would only allow me to select the main quest that it was on. And I was jumping around in between because I was trying to get the extra quest. And I'm like, why the fuck is this a thing?
Yeah, there's a clip of me on YouTube doing that exact thing. It was in the marketplace in Lestalem. I'm trying to talk to the guy, but there's the one corner is quest mode, the other corner is shop mode, and I'm just trying to talk to the guy. So the thing is popping in and Noctis is jumping, and I'm like, fuck, just talk to him, you fuck, you little fuck. Just ask him the question. Buy some stuff. What the fuck is happening? And it's crazy. I'm like, what? I'm not moving at all, and this thing is X. It's like the meme with the guy who's got the fucking fishing line. He's got the dollar, and he's like, almost there. Oh, you almost got it that time. I'm like, fuck you, man.
It's an AT&T commercial.
Jesus. Oh my God, the fucking Lestalem area, because there's the guys with the side quests, and they have a shop too, but the right half of their fucking body is oh, this is the quest half, and this is the party in the back, business in front fucking thing.
That's the worst part of the game.
Yes.
Besides the camera.
Yes, God.
And even the camera has something to do with that, because you're pointing at something, and then it kind of just I don't know, like a lazy eye, it just kind of goes off, and now the X button is no longer to be pressed.
God, no, I am so glad you brought up the thing with the marketplace, though. Or when you get to, oh, Jesus, I'm drawing.
Solemn, Alticia,
and you're trying to I'm trying to talk to the guy at the bar who was friends with your dad, and I couldn't, man. I was like, it was jump after jump after jump, and I'm like, like, how close to this bar do I have to get? I have to be like touching the guy's face, like, yes, speak to me, sell me your lasagna, sir. I'm like, God, I can't. Oh, and then I have to deal with Hillary Clinton right after that. It's just awful. The X thing, like, man.
It seems like a problem that could be solved so easily too.
I know, yeah. Just
It'd be great as if they fixed it and like down the road someone listens to this and is like, "What the fuck are they talking?"
Yeah. Oh, dude, just please, God, squared. Make the select button. Make square jump, man. Don't do this to me anymore.
I'd say triangle's a better jump button.
Anything is a better jump button than X. Like, God. And you can, if you walk over like a patch of stuff, you can hold X and he'll start to pick it up. But sometimes he jumps before that anyway. And it's like, and then he lands and then he starts picking it up. And I'm like, no, you knew what I wanted you to fucking do. You knew I wanted you to pick up that fucking pepper, but you jumped instead. You fucking knew. And it actively defies you. Oh, God. That is seriously the most negative thing I have about this game, though. Is the jump button. Like, it's just like selecting anything is. It's like they're fucking sticking wood splints under my fingernails, and
I completely agree. Exploration, the car, is kind of the main aspect of this game.
Yeah.
Exploration. You can also rent chocobos if you do a certain quest,
yes.
Which is really good for distances that the car can't quite get to, but also is a little too long and boring to walk.
Right. Yeah.
I liked the exploration in this game. I thought the flying car after you beat the game was a really cool aspect of the thing. Of course, there wasn't going to be an airship in the game, and fan outrage made them put in the flying car, and they actually brought in a separate company to come in and tell them how to make the car to fly.
Was it fan outrage, or was it Ultima Final Fantasy influence with the flying car?
I don't know. But I think it worked.
You guys know the truth.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
This game is, of course, huge, and there's a lot to explore as far as the world is concerned. You don't explore the whole world like an old school Final Fantasy. It is just this, this chunk of the world. But I think it's a lot of fun to explore. The best way to explore them, I think, is probably the extra quests and perhaps some of the hunts. Although I'm not a huge fan of the hunts in this game. Schweiss, I know you walked around a lot and it got your survival skill up. Did you use the car? I mean,
I used the car mostly as a fast travel means. I mean, when I first got the car, I was like, oh, cool, I got a way to get around quick. And then suddenly, it was like a gateway vehicle almost in a way, and I'm like, okay, the car's not enough anymore. 1 minute to destination? Fast travel. And then it became, okay, I'll fast travel to this spot on the map, and then I'll jump on my chocobo and then ride the chocobo the rest of the way. So it was like, I know there's a lot of people who enjoy the scenic route and like really love looking at this world, and it's a great looking world.
It's beautiful, yeah.
But by the end, when I say end, I mean 20 hours in, I was like done with the car. I was disillusioned, disenchanted. It was fast travel time.
Right.
And when it wasn't fast travel time, it was, okay, let him do the car thing and then walk off and grab some water or something like that while the car ride's going on. And it was useful, and I liked the car mechanic, but I think I do like the chocobos more in this game. I feel like it gives you a higher level of control. You're not held to the road.
I thought the best thing about the cars in the new area was that there was a lot of character development that would happen within the car.
Right? Yeah. And there's a lot of plot stuff, a lot of character, like you said, development with these guys in the car. Their conversations. There's like a lot of conversation around Ignis's Ignis's eyesight and like, hey, they're like, well, how come you always wear glasses if your vision's not really that bad? And he's like, well, it's just important that everything be crystal clear to me. And then you find out later he goes blind, and it's like this. There's a lot of building that happens with the car stuff, and with
mostly you getting used to the friendships and everything that makes the ending more spectacular.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on with the car, so I think it serves as a plot device more than a meaningful transportation. I mean, especially with me fast traveling like as much as I could within the gameplay. Side quests, I gotta say, uninspired easily.
They were inspired by something.
Yeah,
That's what I was told. I was told they were inspired by Witcher 3.
You don't want to bring up Witcher 3.
Okay.
It's a tough spot.
All right.
I don't think they were super awesome. I think they did serve a purpose of showing you kind of where you need to go. And so they
I like the exploration of the world, or that you had to go do something for someone.
Yeah.
So the quests that were uninspiring to me, I guess, were probably the ones where it was just go out and grab a thing, and then you would fight a monster. And that was like half of them, admittedly.
Yeah,
but I think there were lots of quests that added to the world around you. And I've heard a lot of backlash from these quests, and I got to say, I liked the quests enough that I did all but one of the question marks on the map.
Yeah.
So, and that was a fucking fish,
Yeah.
which I'm sure we'll get into in a second. But I enjoyed the quest. I thought there was a lot of cool little characters that you would meet, and I'm not counting the hunts as part of that, but I liked the quests. I liked them a lot. I like going up the volcano and doing shit, and like, I just dug it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dug it.
Dude, I can't share the feeling towards it. They felt like filler to the first degree in a lot of ways, and I mean, it's useful filler in the way that you get a lot of XP. And you kind of get to go to new places that sort of kind of hold your hand to get to the Armigers in a lot of ways. That's where most of them are located, like around those areas. Rock of Ravito, there's a fucking Armiger up there. You go up there because of a quest.
There's one that's kind of fucking hidden, and I had to go up a mountain like 3 times.
Yeah, that's the one, I think. The lava mountain?
Yeah.
No, I fucking missed it too.
Little hole in the wall?
Yeah, I got up there the second time, and I was like,
Oh, I went up the first time, and it was in the night. So I just did not see it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus. And when you're trying to do the photo quests, and it's like, come back when it's daylight. And I'm like,
oh, man.
And I'm like, I can't.
The first time I was like, fuck you.
I was like,
take a nighttime photo, do long exposure, you fucking idiot, Prompto.
Yeah.
Just do it. It'll be great.
He's an Instagram photographer.
It's fucking lava, man. It should be able to expose properly on a digital camera.
I know.
Just let oh my God.
The fat guy from Lost. The fat guy from Lost will be fine with whatever you give him. You're the fucking king.
I'm mad at that Honest Game trailer for taking my goddamn jokes, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fucking Forrest Whitaker joke I made. I swear to God, that's on the show.
Yeah.
And it fucking took it from me.
Yeah. Well, and the side quests, I hated them in the beginning, and I only sort of am okay with them now. I'm never going to do them again, though. And that's why I know I'm not super inspired, because I know every time I go play Elder Scrolls, I'm going to do the fucking side quests, because that's the thing.
I don't think I would ever do them again either, to be honest, just because I felt like, honestly, well, like, look, a big part of this was like, I want to get 15 done and do everything that I want to do in the game.
Right.
And I feel like I did that. There are still some things I haven't done. Obviously.
Well, of course, yeah. Should I have?
And if I were to play 15 again, I would use my old save and just play the hell out of the story over again.
Would you ever consider doing the level 1 thing just as a challenge run?
Nope.
See, I would consider it just because, like, gives it a purpose to go through it again. But I will never touch these side quests again in my life. There's no fucking way. Okay. I don't feel. They give you some pretty good items. You get a lot of gil.
I guess they weren't good enough for me to not say one and done. But I enjoyed that I did them.
And one thing I'll also comment is the hunts. I'm kind of mixed on the hunts in this game as well. As you guys know, with me being such a big fan of Final Fantasy 12, hunts are a fucking thing. Like, I love doing hunts. Like,
Did you like the hunts in 13?
Yeah, I did. I didn't like them as much as the ones in 12. I felt like they were lazy. Okay. But the ones in 15, I feel like
they're slightly harder normal guys.
Yeah, 13's makes these ones look super lazy. You can only select one of them at a time.
That is the worst
I know,
thing in the game.
but you know what? The big reason why they do that is because one area's hunts will have them all in the same fucking spot. So it's like it is as if they put it in to be solely filler.
Stupid.
And that's how I feel about the side quests too. Like they're like, how can we make this 15-hour game 100 hours? And it's like hunts. Let's have slightly harder normal enemies in the areas and let you go up against them. Now, what I will say is there are some amazing hunts in this game, like the zoo hunt, the behemoth hunt, the Deadshot one, or Deadeye, whatever the fuck it is. Deadeye, right?
But everything about Adamantoise besides the actual fight was great.
Yeah, the lead up to Adamantoise, lots of fun. Like those big hunts, I love. I think they are on par with Final Fantasy XII's, which had plenty of backstory and the purpose behind them. A lot of the other ones, though, it's like someone called in a slightly more ferocious version of the like wolf thing in the beginning, and I'm like, what? You can handle this? Like, you're a fucking hunter. I'm a prince that's been inside up until this day, and you're telling me that some lifelong hunter lost his fucking life fighting this thing that I killed in 2 shots? I don't think so.
Well, he doesn't have the sword out of the middle of the air.
Yeah, you know what? That is very
superpower.
true. He doesn't have that. That's maybe
Yeah.
maybe that's
Maybe he just had a good old gun.
yeah, a good old fashioned sniper rifle. So the hunts even felt kind of dirty. I did every single one of them though, and the big reason I did that is because I wanted to see hog status, yes, and I wanted to see what the last few hunts looked like, and they were pretty tough. Like I fought some level 120 creatures, and they were fucking wrecking me. Thankfully, the items in this game are exceptionally broken, and you get 2. It's sort of like a double health bar thing, where when you reach critical status, your overall HP starts to drop, and if you use an item, a healing item, like even a potion, like 10 gil potion or whatever. I don't know. I'm so out of touch. I don't even know how much a gallon of potion costs. But you use one of those, and it brings you back up to your second bar, which once the first bar goes down, once your HP reaches critical status, it starts to like tick, and you can go instantly back up to the second bar with the items. And I think the items almost made the game a joke, I would say. And before I started doing Casa Mark, I died 1 time in this game. I died less in this game than I did in Final Fantasy 12. Even with dying, like,
But it's not like you mowed through every bad guy.
Deep down,
it was like it took time. It wasn't like a easy cheesy thing. I think I died twice. That fucking, oh my god, that area. There's a dungeon to get one of the swords that's optional, and you got to do the stupid. It's almost like a puzzle thing.
Oh, Casa Mark, yeah.
Is that Castle Mark?
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't remember the name of that thing.
Yeah, fuck that place. Yeah.
Yeah, that place.
I fucking hate
Yeah.
it. That place has probably caused me to lose more hair than any pair of scissors could ever fucking
Okay,
trim
so-
off.
All the Iron Giants they have to go fight with the Naga down there is just terrible.
Fucking Naga.
It's terrible.
These goddamn
dude.
Nagas are ruining this fucking neighborhood is what they're doing.
Oh my god.
In the game.
So
No,
bad.
I'm serious though. Like I avoided that fight the first time going in that dungeon, and the second time I did not. And I was like level 78, and it was tough. I couldn't kill her. Like she cured herself before I could kill her. And that place is bad, and it's almost bad for the same reasons why I think the side quests and the hunts are kind of bad in the game. It's sort of puzzly, but not really. There's only one path you can really take, as far as I can tell, and you just press X on the little platform. You get into a battle where the camera's always trying to fuck you in the game, right? We know that.
Right.
And there's bombs, and sometimes those bombs split off, and if you're not targeting the right one, they just keep splitting, and
that is the worst.
there's like 20 bombs in one room.
Oh
It's
my
like
God.
it's like a 10 by 10 room, and I'm like, oh, and they're all blowing up, and
Dude.
everyone's just fucking
That's
melting.
one of the times I got a game over. Speaking
Yeah?
of that shit. Yeah.
Dude, that was sick.
And I went ahead and turned that dungeon on easy.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the only time I changed my fucking difficulty mode. I was just like, I can't handle this.
What
shit.
did you name your person, or did you keep them the same?
I just kept the carbuncle.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Damn it. What'd you name your chocobo? Did you name him?
No, I didn't.
God damn it, dude. I named mine after Caleb Craig. I named him Craigers.
Oh, wow.
And I think Cameron asked me why, and I said it's because he's a loyal beast. So it was pretty good. I did grind him up to level 10, though. He is the ultimate chocobo. So that was fun.
Okay, so what did you think of... I'm trying not to forget things about the gameplay. What did you think of the summons in the game?
Summons were great. I think they're pretty powerful, but at the same time, when you use them, I feel like you got less experience when you ended up clearing everything. So it sort of has a balance to it. And it's like, I don't know, sometimes I could see myself not using the summons. Like I didn't sometimes because I'm like, well, if I kill him with the summon, it's going to take me another 30 seconds. But if I just lay into him, I'm going to kill him in like 5. But post-game, every time I got the summon, I would summon. Because I love the animation.
Can we say to those who haven't played this and went through the whole fucking story section, like, they didn't care? Like, the summons are different in this game. So you do get the help of the astrals in the story, right, as you go along.
Yeah.
And they can help you in battle, but they only come during certain circumstances, usually when like all hope is almost lost. So there's got to be certain things have to happen in battle a certain number of times, or it'll like the chance will go up.
Right. With Ramu, it's normally just like
or Shiva.
The longer you're in a fight, it's like, okay, Ramu's like, let's end this.
If like the rest of your party gets cleared out a couple times during one battle, Shiva will come out, or Titan will come out for certain things. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, you don't necessarily choose when the summons come out, but you can choose whether or not you want to use it when they do.
Yeah.
Like when the option comes up and the music will start to like change and it'll get all like, I don't know, like kind of freaky for a moment, and you can decide whether or not you want to summon. And then the summons are just, of course, amazing and gigantic, as we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Even Ramu, the first one of the first summons. Well, okay, not the first summon you get, but the first one you'll see is exceptional in like every way, and they have different ones for when you're indoors. Ramu like looks around and he like kind of spots you, and then chucks his little fucking dealio into the dungeon, and it attacks, and it's extremely satisfying to use the summons in this game. And Leviathan, as a bunch of people have said, finally got some real representation in this shit. Leviathan's legit.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I just wish I could summon Ifrit and Bahamut.
I don't think Ifrit will ever allow you to summon.
Probably not. Although you sort of, I don't know. Maybe you will be able to, because Leviathan wasn't
Ifrit in chains.
Leviathan wasn't necessarily pro Noctis in the beginning either. You just kind of bent her to your will. And same thing with Titan. You broke his fucking arm off. Like, he hates you, but he's like, all right.
So we didn't talk about Leviathan's voice. Freaky.
Yeah, no, and they actually, before a patch, Bahamut's voice is that way too. It was that weird god language, and I actually kind of like it.
They changed it?
Yeah, they changed it because it was apparently it was like overwhelming because it started saying the same things over again because Bahamut has a lot of dialogue.
Oh, okay.
So people were like, no, and it was a lot of story stuff.
Okay,
but I liked that. I liked that element where they're speaking like in the god language.
Crazy sound design. Anyway,
yeah.
I think Schweiss. I know I'm full of hyperbole tonight. I think this is the best utilization of summons in any Final Fantasy game.
All right, I agree.
I think. Oh, you agree? that was a very sudden. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, probably best utilization of any summons in Final Fantasy games. Here's my problem with Final Fantasy games and the summons, and the reason I haven't used them. We've talked about this on the show before.
Yeah.
You get a summon at a certain level, and although there are some games like 10 and 8 where you can like boost the summon's power, you don't want to go through that whole entire thing and use them as like a mainstay in your battle system just because it's not fun anymore when you have to see the animation over and over again if you spam them like I did as a kid playing FF8.
Yeah, when we were fucking losers.
Yeah.
Boost button.
And so my general feeling through especially this playthrough of the entire series is I'm just going to worry about brutal attacking. If I need to use magic, I'll use magic.
Yeah.
The summons mean something in this game.
Oh yeah.
they do so much damage, and it's kind of a really rare circumstance to get them out that it actually like makes it's effective in both the actual gameplay and the storytelling aspect of the game.
Yeah, and the logistics of it. I mean, the summons are always these godlike creatures. Yeah, and it's like, well, why is he a god? I do more damage than this summon in Final Fantasy VI. I'm not gonna. Yeah, what kind of god is this? Like, he's a fucking gimp. And in this game, they do a great execution of it, and it's not completely overpowered because it doesn't always kill things. I got Shiva against Adamantoise. That didn't fucking kill him.
I loved it. I loved the way they used the summons in this game.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought FF12 might have had kind of a good idea, but then again, they were still fucking gimps.
Yeah.
FF10 utilized them in the story, but then at a certain point, your characters would be more powerful than these gods that she summons to help defeat sins. It didn't really make sense in terms of the story, and then, of course, you would eventually get sick and tired of their animation, so you'd stop. This, I don't think I will ever get sick of the Ramuh summon.
No, and
it's rare enough and epic enough that is just, it's incredible.
And you know what? That's why I decided that I'm not going to skip them anymore. Even if I'm almost done with the fight, I'm like, dude, it's too cool to just skip. Like, it never gets old.
Nope.
And it's because it's rare and because it means something. It's the last time, like you said, in 10, it meant something for a little while, and I used them to get past certain Seymour fights.
And you need them in certain parts, yeah.
Yeah, and like in 8, when Ifrit's like, you have Shiva? You know, like she does a ton of damage to him, but that's it. After that, Ifrit's good for like 10 minutes, and then Ifrit sucks, and then it's like, okay, I can only use it if I get all the boost up, and maybe then it'll be worth it, and then it's not. The execution of the summons in 15 is absolutely amazing, and it is a joy, and it's long overdue, man. To have the gods actually be gods and tear the fuck out of things. 15 does that.
It's great.
10 out of 10.
Absolutely great. And you know what? They got rid of the Foul C and replaced them with the summons during
Good move.
Great move. Fucking great move. I heard someone complain about it, and I think that guy is a fucking idiot. Honestly, like, it's great. It's great. So that was one of the Nomura into Tabata moves, was that.
Yeah.
And this is the best utilization of the summons I've ever seen.
I agree. One other thing we definitely need to touch on.
We need to talk about fishing, and we need to talk about the super boss Adamantoise.
Well, before that, I think...
Okay. You got one more?
There's a couple things. Talking about the food. The food in Final Fantasy 15...
camping. You're right.
Is very useful. You get stat boosts. You can get ones that increase your attack by a pretty fair amount and your HP by a ton. A lot of them, they like the lasagna stuff near end game. You get double XP. There's some great utilizations, and it's like this game is crazy. There's so many different ways to customize your characters. You've got your outfits, which have different status boosts. You've got your weapons that have status boosts. You have food that you can use to boost your overall stuff. You have the fucking Ascension board that you use to unlock nodes, very similar to the Final Fantasy X system, I would say. Maybe a little closer to the utility section of 12s as far as what's actually on there. And it's like there's like a million ways to make your guys better. And I know Caleb Craig bitches about that, but I actually kind of like it. And the only reason why I didn't use the food as much is because I was so obsessed with getting to level 99, I would always stockpile like an ass load of XP and just go turn it in at the times to Golden Key area.
Yep, exactly.
And my God,
the more plush the place that your guys are going to stay at, you'll get an XP boost for.
Yeah, so go to Grand America.
If you go camping, like, you don't get any XP boost, you just get the XP that you earned. But like, if you go into a trailer, then you get 1.2 or whatever. And then if you go to a motel, it's 1.5. You go to a nice hotel, it's 2 times. And then if you go to a really nice hotel, it's 3 times.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a fun way of spending XP. And I thought I was going to hate that aspect of the game, playing the demo and then knowing how things were supposed to work with the camping. You had to go camping to get your XP.
Yeah, which you do.
Honestly, like, it was well utilized within the games. I didn't really use the boosting stuff until I had a fight Adamantoise, which is of course the super boss in this game, and I ate the meal that gives you like the damage based upon the levels that you're missing between you and him, and that helped a lot for the first half of the battle that actually lasted in. So like knowing that you can do all that shit, and there's a lot of ways to make the game. Let's say you're doing a low level fight, you got to go get that level different sort of challenge or whatever. I assume that's the meal that you would eat the most often.
The level 1 thing?
The difference in levels between you and the guy that you fight, you
stuff
would do
like
damage
that.
based on that. Mm-hmm. I think that would probably be the most utilized one. Of course, there's probably others that I don't know about. There's a shitload of recipes in this game. Ignis just randomly goes, "I've created a new recipe," or something like that.
Yeah.
Whenever he comes across a new thing that you eat at a restaurant, or if you get the ingredients for something.
The guy's an asshole sometimes. He's like, this dude creates this nice family tradition meal. Like it's passed down. This recipe's passed down generation after generation, and this British dickhole just comes in and like, he's like sitting there looking at it, copying down all the stuff, and the guy's like, this is my famous plate. Like, you're gonna put me out of business, dude.
I'm just using it for camping.
But you know what? They can't do shit because you're the king. They can't do shit about it. They just fucking take it. These poor bastards. That's a shark.
I liked that aspect of the game. I thought I was gonna hate it, and I liked it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It makes sense. I mean, resting to gain get stronger.
It made XP grinding not something that made me want to shoot myself in the head, because it gamified that sort of bit of it. And also the idea of like stockpiling, and then like the joy that you feel when you go to the double XP hotel, and it's just
you just watch it build, and you're like,
it feels so good, dude. It's great. I think that it's a really good aspect of the game. I like that.
What did you think about the Ascension board? Did you dig that? Did you do any AP grinding? Did you fill it?
I didn't do AP grinding. I just kind of let AP stuff develop naturally, and I got a lot of AP anyway that way.
Yeah.
It's cool that a lot of the Ascension board was like building more Ascension points, so you can get certain moves in combat.
Yeah.
Or certain other extra boosts, like extra accessories you can add on to your guys. I liked the Ascension board. I thought it was another cool aspect of kind of like customizing your characters.
Yeah.
And it wasn't confusing customization like Parasite Eve. It was like really well thought out. I think very good customization.
Yeah, and breaking the damage limit was pretty exciting. I was able to do 99,999 damage with Gladiolus's impulse move, the one that sends out the wave of energy. Mm. So I was doing 100,000 damage to everything that it touched. And I'm going to put up a YouTube video of doing AP grinding. I'm sure you guys already know how to do it, but if you don't, I'm going to have one up there probably in the next month or so. I let one of my buddies at work borrow the game, so I won't be able to play in it. But there's some great ways to do that, and it makes a big difference. And I like the Ascension board. I do. I think some of the stuff is kind of a little expensive when I'm spending 1,000 AP to break damage limit, but it is a big deal. It goes from me doing 4 9s to 5 9s, which is only one more digit, but that's a lot of
times.
It's a lot of fucking damage we're pulling out here. So I think it kind of works. And
I want to talk about 2 things.
Okay.
Okay. Well, fishing. Schweiss. I don't dig fishing in video games. Not a big fisherman myself in real life.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the most waste of time thing, and I only did it so that I would get the level 10 thing, so that I would get the platinum, which I got my very first platinum I've ever received on this game. And it was well before like all the stuff had been cleared. That's kind of crazy for a platinum.
Yeah, it is. It's like, wow, I still have 60 hours of gameplay.
There is a super boss fish that I was not able to catch. There was another fish I didn't even try to catch, but I did try to catch a couple of really hard fish. And it was interesting getting new fish, but what I always found was that I was in areas that you would just eventually start catching the same thing over and over again, and like there's still so many fish left on the board. I'm like, where the fuck are the other fich?
Yeah. You gotta explore and find new fishing zones.
Certain types of certain types of bait and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The way the fishing works is that you you reel in, and then the fish will tug side to side, and you're supposed to follow him. You're supposed to you're supposed to keep slack on the line and stuff like that, or else your line will break. It's
Yeah.
I don't know.
Talk about backseat fishing.
They keep saying the fucking same lines over
Dude,
and over again. Talk about backseat fishing.
Oh my God,
Think the line's okay.
there was a time where they said
The line's gonna snap.
they had the same interaction 3 times in a row. Noctis would say something. No. Gladiolus said something. Noctis would say, talk about backseat fishing. I'd reel it in. I cast out. Gladiolus says the same thing. Noctis says, talk about backseat fishing. And then, by this point, I've not blinked for the last, 2 minutes. And then
Chinese water torture.
it says it again. And then suddenly all I hear is, this high-pitched... then my vision just gets super tunnely, and I just start falling through this chasm of insanity, and I'm like, I have to turn the volume off. I have to turn the volume off in a Final Fantasy game. I do think the fishing was pretty well done, though. I mean, they put a lot of detail in it with the certain fish come out at night, certain come out during the day. You have to have certain bait for some of the different fish. I mean, you might not be the biggest fan of the minigame. I thought it was pretty fun. I wish I wouldn't have grounded out in the beginning because there's way more interesting fish to catch elsewhere. But I think they put a lot of work into that. I think it works personally because of those reasons. There's certain challenge fish that you have to take out, or if you want to. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was relaxing, and I thought it was an okay way to grind AP until I found the truth.
All right.
What do you think overall of the fishing? Not big?
I am not a big fan of things in games that don't have a purpose.
But you use them for food, though. You get some pretty good recipes.
At least with the extra quests, I get to go explore new areas. It's also the same reason I didn't do all the hunts, is because I'm like, fuck, I've already explored this area. I don't need to do the hunts.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm not getting anything from it. I guess not anything that's super worthwhile. I don't know. I didn't dig the fishing. I'm glad it's there, though. I'm glad it's there for the player who wants to do that. But personally, for me, I'm like, Jesus Christ, why is this a trophy?
Oh my God, dude! In the chat, Wendy One says she did a level 1 run, and she saved all of her XP from the beginning to Altitia, and she went from level 1 to level 84.
Oh my God, that's amazing!
Yeah, can you imagine watching that thing? Just
yeah, I would also come.
I would too. Each time it leveled.
Every 10 levels.
I do think it was a great fishing minigame, but
okay.
Yeah.
Let's. I just have my note here that says Super Boss. Adamantoise, which is required for the platinum of the game, so I did play it, and it's a hunt that you can do if you return to the past using Umbra from Chapter 13 onward.
Right.
And all they're saying is oh, these earthquakes are happening. What is it? And then you find out it's this giant turtle thing.
Yeah, and it's cool because
the mountain.
Yeah, you gather information from all the people you've been doing these shitty side quests for. And I thought that part was kind of cool. You group up all the people and you're like, hey guys, they're like, here's what we know. We're rooting for you, kind of a thing. And it was almost like everyone got together and cheered you on, even though you're already dead.
And so this mountain turtle, he is a shitload of HP.
Yeah, he's huge.
He took me about 2 hours to fell. How long did it take you?
50 minutes, I think.
50 minutes, okay.
Yeah.
Now, remember when Square Enix told us that there was going to be Super Boss, it was going to take us days to kill? They totally meant in-game days. So
yeah.
the night-day cycle in the
and
game,
they meant
which
in-game days.
It took a couple days.
And they meant in-game days if you're that fucking gimp who was demoing the Titan fight at E3. You remember watching that?
No, I didn't watch that. You guys just complained about it.
I was looking at it and I was like, God, this guy sucks ass at this fucking game.
Okay.
They just go out and fucking pick a dude in the crowd and be like, all right, come on up.
So I thought the concept of the boss was cool. I thought the boss looked cool. There was some cool stuff with the parrying.
Oh, yeah.
Where you would parry the boss and then there'd be this Michael Bay-esque free fall down and you would do some massive damage. I mean, not really that much compared to his HP, but you would do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And for a game that does huge fights really well, this is the worst fight I have ever played in, I think, any of the Final Fantasy games. The camera just goes straight for the camera. That's like, I can't go through a wall. The camera goes straight through the guy.
Yeah.
It's confusing as fuck because the guy, I guess he's like too big for what they programmed in the game.
There's
and they just and they just published the game knowing that this was a buggy, terrible fight.
It is, and it's kind of nonsensical in a lot of ways. It makes sense to do more damage to its head, right? But it's really hard unless you have the air step ability, which, by the way, is mega expensive on the board to fully upgrade that shit. It's really hard to attack his dome, but there's a part where you can like lock on to a part that's not in front of you, and you can do max damage over and over and over again. Yep. So it's like it's a cool idea. It's like the fight.
How can I glitch my way to making this this part of the game faster?
It's time to bring Game of Thrones into the show one more time.
My God.
It's like the idea of the fights in the early seasons of Game of Thrones rather than the execution. It's like it's really cool that these two characters are fighting. Not the best fight scene, but the idea of it is like, yes.
Okay.
And I wanted it to be like season 6's fight scenes where it's like amazing. The Battle of the Bastards is like fucking incredible. Right. Excellent fight scenes, excellent choreography. And we got season 1 back cut camera angles. It's skewed, it's glitchy. It's like they put it in there just to make a really long fight.
It's
and
so
that's
bad, dude. Like you see the inside of Adamantoise. You see like his video game skeleton.
Yeah. And I don't think they did a very good job with that thing. I think that's one of the things.
Had, like the dragon at the bottom of what is it, Castlemark? He said. Castlemark. Okay. That's a cool fight.
Oh yeah, that thing's huge.
Yeah, that thing's huge. Yeah. The fucking Titan fight, Leviathan fight, great.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Fucking Ifrit fight, great. You couldn't do something with like that with the Adamantoise? Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, it's not very good.
So
it's not executed very well.
It's not fun. It's just like repetitive. It's not even that difficult.
Yeah, so there's not really anything to it. It's just to do.
It's bad.
And it's one of those things they just put in. It's just it goes along with the rest of the
HP.
It goes along with the rest of the hunts, in my opinion. It's just filler. It's just to take more time.
What's the name of the super boss in 12?
Yaizamat.
So they were trying to do a Yaizamat, but Yaizamat has good mechanics.
Yeah, and
that's the difference.
Fucking brutal,
right?
Too.
Yeah, he's actually difficult to kill. This is just long and boring and glitchy.
Yeah,
and annoying.
It's like 12's extra stuff, but they just sucked the soul out of it, and they just put it into this game. And they're like, yeah, you like this stuff, right? And they just bring its shambling.
You like it?
They bring 12's shambling corpse to the table, and they're like, oh, how come it's not fun now?
It's been like, rotten. It's been rotting in the ground.
Yeah, it's been dead since 2006 is why. But yeah, it's
that is awful.
I hope they patch it a little bit.
But I mean, I assume they will patch that. They've got to patch that Adamantoise.
It is glaringly
bad.
Not good compared to the rest of the fights. Yeah.
But with that being probably the most negative thing besides the X button shit.
Oh, Jesus.
And the gameplay. I enjoyed the gameplay quite a lot. I don't think it's like the best in the series, but I enjoyed it a lot and I had fun.
Yeah.
And like I said, 13 I think probably is my favorite like battle system. Probably the most well balanced classic ones. 5.
Yeah.
And there's of course great balanced gameplay with 7 and 9. I don't think it's up there with those because there are problems with the camera and things like that.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a pretty good and fun game to play.
Yeah, I would say that the fun factor for 15 is probably one of the highest.
Okay.
For me, I don't think it's necessarily the best. My favorite battle system is Final Fantasy 12's, just barely outskirting 13's. I just love the open world thing. I love how it's like the best of everything. It's like you take 11, but you make it a little more. You get a little more time to decide. I never used wait mode in this game one time. Actually, that's not true. I activated it once, and then I was like, I'm done.
I didn't know how, so I just.
You have to unlock it, I think, on the board. Yeah, you do. You do have to unlock it. I started just unlocking nodes because I wanted to rush that trophy.
Yeah,
foolishly, and wasted a lot of shit on wait mode. And I like how quick it is, and I do think it's one of the most fun battle systems. Like I never got necessarily tired of the fights. When I was doing my second playthrough, I avoided almost everything that I could just because I was trying to rush through the story, because that's what I was returning to the game for the story, even though I liked the gameplay maybe even more than the story. It was more to refresh everything, so I would avoid it. But I don't like within Castlemark, the bonus dungeon where you can't use items, which is fucking insane. I'm not tired of the fighting. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's really challenging down there. Like, you don't get to use items to heal up, and you just get kind of fucked left and right. And there's a room, the one I could not get through this. There are 4 Iron Giants, and they're level 96.
Oh.
4, dude. It is disgusting. I had to leave. I couldn't do it. I couldn't handle that shit. 4? I don't even know there's 4 because the dungeon's so dark. I knew there were a few, but I looked at the list online and I'm like, times 4? God, no wonder I'm getting wrecked. But I think the gameplay is solid. I don't like the side quests, but I do think the actual fighting mechanics, all of that is really well done, and I love the limit breaks, the techniques. I love the customization you have. You got a bunch of different levels. You can level those up. There's just tons of areas, tons of ways to improve your characters. It is very much a heavy RPG style to it. Because of that, you've got the food, you've got the equipment, you've got the clothes, you've got the fucking board. Like, there's so many different ways you can play this game. So many different ways you can level your guys up, make them a little bit better. It's nuts, and I think the gameplay is one of the best parts of this game, I would say. Just ignore the side quests, personally. Yeah. I mean, do them just to do them, but it's okay to not like them.
I liked them because they let you explore more of the world, and I liked many of the side quests. Not all of them, but I liked many of them, especially Cup Noodle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, that's right. The ultimate flavor experience, you would say?
The ultimate flavor experience.
Dude, that part, this game, like, the Coleman equipment for camping, like the Cup Noodle Shack, and
real world shit.
It's so marketing heavy. It almost feels wrong, but it's hilarious at the same time, because Gladiolus' character just it's like talking to Cameron about something that he's really excited about. He's just like goes really into it. He's like, it's the ultimate flavor experience. And like, he seems like a normal dude until you start talking about this one thing, and then he like hyper focuses on like, yes, Cup Noodle. And it's fun because during this quest, Ignis is like, he's like, yes, I suppose they're okay every once in a while. And then he's like, they're not real food. It's really what he's trying to say. And I don't know. That one was kind of fun, but it's odd. It was an odd quest.
Yeah, a lot of product placement in this game.
Oh, yeah. Jesus.
Which doesn't get in the way of the story.
Coleman's the ultimate camping experience.
Except for the last scene where they were sitting on the Coleman chairs and the logo was like bright and ready for them.
Yeah, this feels dirty.
Yeah, but it was fine. I lived with it. I hope they don't do too much more
Coleman,
in the future.
Coleman transcends through the universe.
Camping is a big deal in the game. Coleman is a good brand. So there you go.
It's the ultimate camping experience.
I guess. All right. Let's talk about the look of the game, man. The thing that
one of the defining features of a Final Fantasy.
Let's do it.
Woo! You need a break for a sec?
I do need a small.
All right, guys. 1 second. Oh yeah, credit card logos on the stores. Good point, Wendy. There's like an Amex thing in the window, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then I remembered that they fined me, or they gave me a fee one time, so I got really pissed.
Okay, I'm going to mute for just a little bit, guys.
I'm going to get some water, and we'll be back in a sec.
Clean your kitchen. Okay, mic's on, by the way. Keep the racial slurs to a minimum. Caleb hates it when I fucking say that.
What do you what?
When I say keep the racial slurs to a minimum.
He loves his racial slurs.
Yeah.
He really does. Love those racial. Yeah.
But it is quite the racist.
I can only imagine the rage if you told him to watch the Nazi jokes.
Are we making fun of Nazis or pro-Nazis?
We can give you a guess. Being pro-Nazi.
Oh, yeah. Well, his name is Schweiss.
Oh man, before we get back into this, I just gotta say just how gullible our audience base is. Just how. I was fucking. I heard you're like, the mic's back on. Like, how can I come out and just start trashing?
I didn't want him to be in silence for that long.
Clean my kitchen.
I turned the camera over that way and...
Oh. It's much worse looking than it actually is. There's like a plate and some cans.
Kick the cans.
Let's be clear. How long do you think we've been going?
Like 3 hours.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well,
if not more than that. If we have to do a 3-parter, we'll see.
3-parter?
Yeah. You know, we've been going since 3. Ready for art and design?
Yeah.
How do you think this game looks, Schweiss? I mean, they created a whole new, brand new game engine. They could have used the Crystal Tools engine to make this game, and it still would have looked great.
Yeah.
What do you think about how the game looks now?
I think it's a pretty good looking game. I don't think it's the best looking game this gen, which is kind of odd for Final Fantasy. But I think it looks pretty good. I mean, I don't have any real problem with the way anything looks, other than a few little issues with the Adamantoise fight.
A few.
I think the world
Some
looks,
major fucking issues with the Adamantoise fight.
yeah. I think the world looks wonderful. I think I don't know. I didn't really have any visual or aesthetic problems with the game. There's no crazy zany outfits. It all felt very realistic, and I know this is something that they focused on, the sort of fantasy and reality concept, and I think all of that was fleshed out quite well. I mean, Cindy is the one that's definitely fan service mode with what she's wearing. It's like there's no way she can close the vest. Like the jacket's just not going to close. And that's by design. We don't want it to close. I
Stole a child's vest and put it on.
Yeah, she like saw Vaughn's vest in FF12 and was like, I kind of want one of those. And she got one. So I don't know. I don't really have any issues with the game. I think the hair, which is I know something they really focused on, it looks really good. The animation's pretty fluid. I didn't run into very many glitches when it came to that, other than the Adamantoise fight. And overall, I think the game looks pretty damn good.
I agree that overall the game does look pretty damn good. There are some like graphical little glitches here and there, besides the major ones in the Adamantoise fight.
Right.
I don't think it's a perfect looking game, which after coming off of the highly polished Final Fantasy 13,
Yeah.
which I mean, I guess this game is technically better graphically, but I don't think that the graphics are as like seamless as they were in 13. The characters themselves, like the character models, are more detailed. Certainly, there's something a little bit more blocky about FF13, but there's nothing that looks out of place or kind of bad, which I feel like minor issues with the graphical quality in 15. Sometimes that does happen.
Okay.
But other than that, I think, yeah, it's a great looking game. I honestly was pretty blown away by the Disque demo. I remember that.
Yeah.
And I don't think the game looks as good as it did in the Disque demo.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there was more textures or something in the Disque demo that wasn't in this. And I know they had to downscale some stuff in order to get it to play in the full frame rate or whatever they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I thought it looked great. And the what's different about this game as opposed to most of the other Final Fantasy games is a lot of the cutscenes are you're doing things as dialogue is happening. which is rare for a Final Fantasy game. I mean, in FF7 and FF8, you could move around in some like pre-CGI, the CGI cutscenes.
But right as the cutscene started.
Yeah, that was kind of you didn't do that too often.
Yeah.
In 13, they almost wanted the seamless gameplay into cutscene transitions, so that was a big part of it, and there wasn't that many pre-rendered cutscenes. The parts that were pre-rendered looked excellent.
Yeah.
And the game, of course, looks good regardless of that, so the in-game cutscenes look great too. I mean,
they do.
So I thought it was a great looking game. The design is much less 2006 emo-y than Nomura's stuff was originally. Apparently, they brought in some designers. Some of them were actually American to kind of recalibrate the characters to this new version of Versus 13 into 15, and I definitely prefer this version of the character designs. I think it looks pretty good. I think Noctis does kind of look a little bit on the
emo 2006 side.
Emo side, but it's not like well, we do have to say that it's the same game, so we can't go crazy with the redesign.
Yeah, we want to still be able to recognize him as that character.
And his super fashiony hair, I don't know. I don't dig it, but it's fine. It's fine. I like him when he looks like Jack Sparrow after he comes out of the...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You say Keanu Reeves. I say a little bit of Jack Sparrow in there.
Yeah.
As he comes 10 years later.
I just wonder how ashamed...
I almost think that should be the main Noctis. I mean, personally, if I'm going to be nitpicky, I don't really like the Japanese boy band look. But, it's fine for what it is.
I just wonder how disappointed his father would be seeing that man's beard
him next
afterwards.
to his father is like...
What?
One of these men is not like the other.
Yeah, this guy's got like 10 hairs on his chin, and his dad's like fucking awesome.
Nordic god.
Yeah, his mom was Japanese and his dad was Icelandic.
Yeah.
It's just fucking epic beard. And
it's just different. It's just really odd.
Yeah, it is
really
weird.
odd clash.
He's like, no son of mine at the end. That's why he stabs you through. He runs you through in the end.
It's like all the jokes from Conan when he was playing the game, talking about the other members of NSYNC trying to get Justin back into the band, which was hilarious, by the way. And that's kind of what they look like. And a lot of people have made fun of that aspect. And it is funny. You still like the characters, though, so it's not like the design, I think, for me, it doesn't take away from
it doesn't distract.
I mean, some of their costumes are kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. There's just some outfits that I thought were kind of flamboyant. But I don't know. I think otherwise it's great. Great looking game.
Yeah, I think that the graphics serves us very well.
Graphics are great. I like the creature design in this game a lot, especially the big bosses were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else to say about it? It just looks good. It doesn't. Yeah, you're right. I don't think it's blown me away graphics wise, especially after 13, which I think was like a graphics showdown of like, we're gonna do the PS3, everything the PS3 can do.
Yeah.
And I think this one, because it was probably because it was more focused, not only because it was a new engine, they were dealing with that, but probably because it was focused more on an open world feel, couldn't really have the same type of, I think, lighting detail that they could in 13.
Yeah, it's not possible.
As much control in order to have so many pixels on the screen at one time or whatever, or polygons, which of course this is dealing in the millions apparently. Like it's supposed to be sick amount of polygons.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything.
It's just something you're gonna have to deal with. But it is technically better looking, I would say. And I could tell. There are some aspects, like you said, the pre-rendered backgrounds look fucking amazing because they're pre-rendered backgrounds. It's like super detailed, but in this one they made it open world, so they don't have that.
I don't think there's anything that looks as good as the beach scene in FF13. But once again, like you have to deal with like in-game shit in this one that they didn't do in 13.
Yeah.
In 13, they of course had a different idea. They controlled where the camera was, and obviously they controlled how many things were loading at the same time.
Right.
And in this, there's no loading screens outside of chapters and going into a new area with the
fast
with the
traveling.
speed thing. And they are fucking long loading screens and annoying.
Long.
But you can walk from place to place with no loading screen, and it's an extremely detailed, huge environment. So you're losing maybe the perfection of 13 in the wide scope, but you're gaining kind of this other stuff too.
Yeah, certainly.
So,
And 13 was a hallway for most of it.
yeah.
I mean, Grand Pulse is still fantastic looking, though, so that's not really an explanation for that, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's a really good looking game. I don't think it's quite the step up that maybe some people were thinking it was going to be.
Yeah, no, it's not like when I put in Doom, when I finally downloaded Doom on my computer,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my god. Like, this is the best looking fucking game I've ever played. Like, it wasn't like that, but
Right.
it's
good looking.
It's a different game, so it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a downside at all. I think they did a good job. So